Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to SimPlay Motorsport, here live for your pro action. The finale of the week, the finale of the night races as well. No more night races this season. We'll head to the evening race at Donington Park, but back to normal times for Snetterton and Valencia midday races. Pleased to be joined in the commentary box tonight by a very special guest. That is that of Gray Langley, your Pro-Am current championship leader. Gray, good evening. Welcome to the commentary box. How are you?
Good evening, Matt. Doing well myself. Excited to be back commentating after a little time off for a couple years. So excited to be commentating pro tonight. See the competition for next season as well. Yeah, I'm very excited to get into the action.
18 drivers is what we should have on the grid tonight. Only missing DeBont at this precise moment in time, but we've got a grid where it was a green track for quite a while in this session. It's only gone fast within the last 20 minutes or so, so a real tricky night for all the drivers out there. 5 minutes currently left of practice session. It's Mike Matthews who is topping them timing boards at the moment. I believe the word he was using to people, he was calling them sweats for being able to test so much. He's the one who's topping the timing screens at the moment. Obviously practice means a variety of things, drivers doing different runs, setting lap times on different sets of fuel as well as tyre sets as well. But interesting to see Mike Matthews topping the timing tower at the moment. He'll be pleased with that because he is the leader of the gold category and he misses next week. He's in Egypt for the week, so is away for that one. Excuse me. Your championship standings look like this. It's O'Reilly who leads 77 points from Dan Davis. So Dan going to be very keen tonight, I think, to try and close that gap. Ben Rook's P3, he's 80 points behind. Brandon Williams is P4 from Overtaker, who misses tonight. Ian McGowan is away on holiday this week. He's P6. DeBont, we are hoping, is able to get into the lobby in this one. He starts, he's 7th place. Jamal Cloudland's P8. And it's Mike, as we said, the leader in gold from Matt Wright. Very good battle between them two. They seem to change places every single week. After that, it is then that of Matt Wright P10, Ledger 11th, Hibbs in 12th, Tardock 13th, from Harris, Goudet, Cardno, Stardog, Smith, Ramsel, Skunky, Cairns, Millington, Class, Hoffer, Rosalski, Heo, and then Sullivan down the back. From Skunky down, they cannot win the championship this season. Your team's championship looks like it's Team Audio Sport, 159 points clear of Dapper Racing, obviously that of Brandon Williams and Kieran O'Reilly. Then we've got Cloud9 P3, obviously down a driver tonight. SimPlay Racing a P4. They all want to try and close that gap to Cloud9 as much as they possibly can. MSA at P5 from Team GPR. Greasy Bandits Racing P7. AS Racing P8. Team RRM from Utopia. Quantum Motorsport, and then the 3 teams that cannot win it: the Full Centre for Fjord Lords, Roadrunner Motors, and Effect Motorsport. Gray, obviously you had the privilege of driving this circuit last night. What was the conditions like out there in the GT3 cars?
I will say it's a bit tricky when the track's not rubbered, so we'll see how that affects them tonight. Pro-Am's had quite a few more cars, so we got the track rubbered in. I believe it was optimum come time the sprint race, but we'll see if it is optimum for the sprint race tonight. It's a very tricky track if you have not driven enough laps, I will say that. I had limited practice going into last night's race, and anytime I had clean air, I actually just struggled to get lap time out of the car. But I will say that following a car seems relatively easy. There are good overtaking spots, but there's usually only a single line that's fast once again. So I would just follow another car ahead to try to get the time or get comfortable with the track. So we'll see how grip levels affect the cars tonight compared to last night, and we'll see. I believe strategy should be relatively the same, so it should be just a straight up fight.
Should just be a straight up fight, and it looks a great chance for drivers tonight to take points, take some wins, as well as a few other bits. Like I said, Mike Matthews possibly looking great. Williams looks like he's back to a bit of form in this practice session already as well, so that is great to see. In this one, like we said, we are expecting DeBont. Hopefully he gets here for tonight's racing. Good evening to Rob Smith, Gary Clarbel, Sam Williams, Cairns in the chat, tips. Chris and Ian Best, who says, right for the win, long overdue. Wright's last win was in the Nissan last season at Spa. Reverse grid race when it was full reverse grid. So let's see what will happen here tonight in this one. 17 drivers at the moment, 1.5 minutes left in free practice. It's going to be an exciting night's worth of action, that's for sure. Obviously the GT4s, the Ginettas, the Houdaran Cup provided plenty of drama on Tuesday nights. And I suppose the big drama was the start of race 1 last night, Greg. Just talk us through it from your perspective. You was caught up in a bit of a start line incident.
Yeah, it was a bit of a mess, to be honest, but it's racing. It happens sometimes. From my perspective, what I've told people, it looked like Antonio Giovinazzi from Mugello 2020. I was behind Alexis, and then everyone hit the brakes within the first 5 seconds. I had no time to react. But it happens sometimes. Sometimes it looks silly. Sometimes it's just hard racing. Hopefully we don't see too much of that tonight. I wouldn't expect it from these pro drivers. But we could definitely see some door banging on the first lap, I think, in the sprint race, and even the feature race and heavy fuel. It's very easy to understeer the car in some of these corners, and if you're offline just a little bit, you could, or you dip a wheel in the gravel under braking, it could lead to 1, 2, sometimes 3 seconds loss of lap time per lap. So it'll be definitely interesting to see who can keep the car the cleanest and keep it on the track, because the off-track surface, unlike Paul Ricard for example, you dip a wheel here in the dirt and you could be in the barrier within the next 5 seconds. So definitely keeping the car on track will be key tonight.
Indeed it will. It's very slippy and slidey out there. In terms of the most successful drivers, 2 drivers spring to mind most successful in this series. O'Reilly since Tuesday, 4 pole positions, 3 race wins around Laguna Seca. Dan Davis, 3 pole positions and 4 wins around this famous Laguna Seca. Ripper, 2 wins and 4 poles. But I'm looking at the names on this list, drivers that's gone well here, that are on the grid tonight. Overtaker, a pole and a win, not here. That's a shame for him. We have just lost another driver, not
Williams.
Sure. Oh, we have just lost Williams. Yes, that's a shame for him because he was starting high up the order. So yeah, McGowan, a pole and a win for him around here as well. He's not here tonight. So there's been a few drivers. Jamal's took 2 pole positions here, never taken a race win. So can he get that one off his back and grab that race win here in this one tonight? So we're down, no DeBont, no Williams. And who are you going for in this first race? Who do you fancy?
I've only watched a few sprint races. I mean, the fast guys are already at the front. It's a bit different to Pro-Am, where the fastest guys are toward the back. I would say Dan, if he gets a good start, gets by his teammate, I think he'd be the favorite here. It depends on O'Reilly's start as well. I think those two would definitely be the favorite. They're already quite high up the order, so.
They are quite high up the order. No DeBont, so our graphic that will play in just a moment will be out of sequence. Obviously DeBont not there, so everybody bumped up 1 from 2nd place. Rob Smith in the pit, so he's missed the start line then as we get ready and underway. The grid order for tonight should be Jamal Clouden and DeBont. It will now be that of Jamal Clouden and Ben Rudd. We have lost Williams yet again, so hopefully he can sort out any internet problems there. So it should have been Williams alongside Ben. Row 2 will now be Dan Davis and Kieran O'Reilly. Row 3 will now be Class and Millington. Row 4 should have been Rob Ramsell and Rob Smith. It will now be Rob Ramsell and that of Stardog. Behind them will be Cardno and Goudet. Cardno and Goudet. Then it'll be Harris and Hibbs, Ledger and Wright. Mike Matthews at the back with them as well. So an interesting start already. Rob Smith starting from the pits. Williams just having internet problems, and DeBont nowhere to be seen. Williams back in, so that's good for him. He'll be able to take the start of this race, and that's going to be crucial for Williams, isn't it? He's going to now start from the back of the pack, but damage limitations, got to try and help score the Dapper team some points in that Constructors, but also wants to try and stay in contention for that Drivers' Championship as well.
Yeah, I will say that I did learn last night why you guys call it Spooky Laguna. At least
Yeah.
this race, we actually have confirmed pit stops. That was just a bit of a mishap last night. I'll be dealt with later. But yeah, I definitely figured out why it's called Spooky Laguna with the start of race 1 and then the mishap on the pit stop settings. Yeah, and then we already have 2 starting from the pit lane here as well, so that's just more confirmation.
Yeah, Laguna Seca, always going to be an interesting one. So Clouden on pole from Ben Rook, Dan Davis alongside O'Reilly. In the only 5 platinum drivers tonight. We'll say DeBont should be driver number 6. Qualifying bans for DeBont and for that of Class in the qualifying session coming up a little later on. That was due to retirement in the race. So it's going to be an interesting one. Good evening to Michael Harris in the chat as well. Poll is up for who you think will win this race. So race 1 about to get underway here. Round 19 of this 26 round season. 3 weeks left. Snetterton, Valencia and then Donington Park, which will be the evening race of this season. But it's Jamal Cloud on pole from Benjamin Rook, the youngster who's trying to upset the apple cart a little bit. He's come on leaps and bounds over the seasons. He's just trying to get himself in that top 2. He's been there or thereabouts all season, has had really good pace. We come down the start line to start the first race of the evening. Round 19 of the season here at Laguna Seca. Ben's already got a great bit of a head start, should we say, as we green and go here for round 19. No drive-throughs this time around. The 2 from the pit lane should be able to get underway momentarily. And Jamal Clouden coming side by side with Ben Rook down in towards turn 1. Dan thinks of having a look nearly into the back of Jamal Clouden as they come into 1. Jamal managing to hang on in there. All looks pretty clean as we come through. Ben dips the wheel onto the gravel. Doesn't hurt him too much. And Dan, more importantly, stays ahead of O'Reilly. The audio sport battle is going to be interesting because does Ben let Dan go in that championship hunt, or does Ben fight it out for his championship as well? But Jamal Clouden, Gray at the moment, away, still leads this one. Ben hot on his heels.
Yeah, it looked very clean at the start. I was looking toward the back. Everyone seemed to get through clean, not much contact.
Oh, Spinner, that's Kieran O'Reilly.
Oh,
sorry,
no.
That's Kieran O'Reilly. He's had a moment climbing up the hill. That has dropped him down so many places as he's going to fall behind Matt Wright. Bit of contact there with Matt Wright. Yeah, John Goudet as well involved in that one. So Goudet and Wright off. O'Reilly with a bit of contact from the pair of them as well there. So not the start O'Reilly, all right, or Goudet would have wanted, but it is what Dan Davis would have wanted, as he's now attacking his teammates at the end of lap 1. Class up into P5, just behind Steve Millington, current gold leader in this race. Pit window opens, Dan Davis straight in immediately. He's wanting none of that. Rob Ramsell there looking up the inside of Class. Very tired man today, struggling on had very little sleep last night, so he's a little weary at the moment, but moves up into P4 now on the road as he gets past Class at the final corner. Good start from the front runners and a little mishap in the middle of the field to end that first lap.
We'll say that's so uncharacteristic from what we've seen from O'Reilly this season. You almost never see him off the track.
Yeah, indeed you do. He's got past Hibbs in the pit lane. Dan, him and Hibbs have all done the pit stop. Cardno having a bit of a longer stop here. Hopefully he's turned the tyre change off. Rob Smith hasn't got underway in this race. It won't count as a retirement because he didn't actually take to the stop.
Rob's having a look at Clouden for the lead.
He is indeed. Clouden's on the gravel, has a bit of a wiggle, kicks up the sparks, and Ben Rook goes through. He leads here at Laguna Seca. And Ben Rook then past Jamal Clouden for the lead. They've got Ramsell and Millington, the 2 Quantum boys, P3 and 4. And that's looking good for them too. Clay's P5, then it's Harris, Mike Matthews, Patrick Ledger onto the gravel there as they come up towards the famous corkscrew. Then it's Stardog, Matt Wright, John Goudet.
Uses deep on the corkscrew. Yeah, he's back on track, but he's lost a couple positions to Ledger and Stardog, I believe, yes.
Was that all on his own there?
Yeah, he broke too late with Ledger putting him under pressure into the corkscrew. He broke way too late and missed the apex.
I've got a good story about Mike breaking late at the corkscrew, and it was behind me, and it wasn't very funny. Who's that in the pits? Millington has just hit the inside wall on the pit lane, turned in too early, clipped the wall, stop go penalty for Cardno. That's pretty much put his race to bed. John Goudet now attacking the back of Matt Wright, down for 11th and 12th at the moment. Williams only 8 seconds off the back of these two. Dan Davis 6 seconds off the back of him. He's the leader of the pit runners, and O'Reilly did get ahead of Hibbs in the pit lane, so he's back to 1 car behind Dan. But where will Steve and Mike come out the pit lane? Steve heading down to come off the limiter. O'Reilly's coming down the start line. He'll get ahead of Mike Matthews. Steve off the limiter. I don't think he'll get Steve there, so Steve is a car between himself and Dan at the moment, between O'Reilly and Dan at the moment.
Yeah, Kieran's got a lot of time to make up. I mean, I think we're gonna have a cracking race now with him fighting his way back through the field.
Indeed we will. Rob Smith saying team boss on holiday, let's Ben take the win, says Rob Smith in the chat. He may be the number 2 driver, but he's fighting Dan to the end. That's great to hear from Chris. Chris obviously Ben's dad. Yes, Rob, says Chris. Good evening to Ian Thompson, peaceful stepdad in the chat as well. Great fight with Matt Wright and John Goudet. We've got Rob Ramsell. He's still got class on the back of him for that P3 on the road at the moment. Michael Harris coming to entertain this fight as well. Good start here from Rob Ramsey. He'll be pleased to bits with that one. Clace goes a little deep in the final corner. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Rob, though, will be happy with it at the moment with his start to this race. It's gone quite well for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's looking at a top 5 right now, I believe.
Oh, sorry, Langley. Millington's around. Sorry, Greg. Millington's around at the corkscrew. That has allowed Hibbs and Mike Matthews and, more importantly, Kieran O'Reilly through. Millington's had a spin, middle of the corkscrew. Nobody's been collected, thankfully. So that car between Dan and Kieran O'Reilly is no more. Where will Michael Harris be? Good evening to Caitlin in the chat as well. Michael Harris comes out of the pits and will be, or should be, ahead of that of Kieran O'Reilly now. He will be the cork in the bottle, if you will, for Kieran O'Reilly and Dan Davis. So still, O'Reilly, he's doing bits to try and close that gap and try and jump people, but he's still finding another car coming out the pits in front of him.
Oh man, we've had some great racing already. People making mistakes. Like I said, it's going to be who can keep the car on track, who can keep their nose the cleanest. They're going to be the ones fighting up front.
Dan Davis has also got the fastest lap of the race. That'll be an extra point for him in this one. Jamal Clouden down in second place. Ben stays out. Jamal goes into the pit lane. What will Rob Ramsell do? Currently 3rd on the road. He's going to stay out on track. Then it's Class. He's P4. He stays out, as does Ledger. Stardog then P6. He's going to stay out on the road. Matt Wright P7, pulled away from John Goudet as Matt Wright a little bit. Goudet up into 8th. Williams P9, only 5 seconds off the back of Goudet. So now this is a crucial one for Dan. Has Dan got the undercut on Jamal Clouden? Well, he's coming through the penultimate corner. Run down to the final corner he comes. Jamal's not yet stationary in his box. Dan through the final corner. Jamal is on his way out now, so he has stopped. He's done his pit stop. He's going to come off the limiter, but Dan Davis is going to fly right past him. Undercut for Dan Davis has worked an absolute treat for Kieran O'Reilly, though, who's on the back of Michael Harris. That's now 2 cars between himself and Dan, and already Dan Davis just going to gain a few extra points in this one if it stays as it is.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited to see where Ben Rook comes out or Ramsell comes out. I mean, fighting up front for them be a great opportunity to get a top 5 here.
Especially for Rob Ramsell, who's had a bit of a hit and miss season. He'd love a top 5 finish in this race. Where will he come out? Class as well. He's had a bit of an up and down season. If you remember last week, he caught his ignition, stopped the car on the road, and Mike Matthews ended up catching the back of him. And he retired from the race from there. That is where he got the qualifying ban. O'Reilly now is right on the rear wing of Michael Harris, coming up towards the kink on that left-hander, up towards the corkscrew. Very tricky corner now, and O'Reilly's not going to look into the corkscrew. He's more sensible than that. And it's going to be at least another lap behind Michael Harris, and this is just allowing Dan to get further and further ahead. Patrick Ledger's now in the pits, as is Goudet. I think O'Reilly should jump Goudet, but Ledger will be an interesting one.
Yeah, I think O'Reilly has the closest battle on the track right now. He's all over the back of Harris. He has to make up positions for that uncharacteristic mistake.
Ledger's on his way out the pit lane now. John Goudet is now on his way out. He will be overtaken by these two. At this point, Ledger could be overtaken by these two. He's not off his limiter until now. They sail through, so it's still just the 2 cars between Dan and between O'Reilly at the moment. So damage limitation, if you will, for O'Reilly. Harris a little deep, but you can do that at turn 1. That second apex is where you need to try and find to get that turn in. So it's Ruck from Ramsell from Class. Class on the back of Ramsell once again here. That is 0.8 of a second. Don't worry, Rob's lights aren't turned off. He just had a bit of a lag moment, and that is what has caused his lights to go off on our end. His lights will be a full ablaze. Ledger's got Hibbs with him. Mike Matthews 1.4 behind, so he's going with them as well. He'll want to score big tonight to try and extend that lead in the Gold Championship. In this one then, but it's O'Reilly still hassling Harris and still cannot find a way through.
Yeah, it's very difficult to make a pass here, but like with that being said, it is very easy to make a mistake. Being the car ahead, it's very easy to dip a wheel on the gravel or to brake just a little too late, and O'Reilly's all over the back on the back of Harris, plunging down the hill here. We'll see if he has a look.
Oh. Little wiggle there from Harris through the left-hander, now into the penultimate corner. Nobody pitted this time around. Harris to the outside line, O'Reilly to the outside line of Harris, looking for that up and under. Audi good in a straight line. Honda's no slouch. It's a decent car in a straight line, especially compared to back in our project cars 2 days, many moons ago. And at the minute, so far so good. If you are that of Dan Davis, because you still see O'Reilly sat behind Harris. He goes to the outside of turn 1 now, though, has a big look round the outside. If he can hold it there, he'll have that inside line for turn 2. That is a car exiting the pit lane. That is Rob Smith joining the race, and O'Reilly gets through on that of Michael Harris, and Harris loses the rear, catches it, well held on the slide out of turn 2, but that has put Kieran O'Reilly one car between himself and Dan, but he's got 4 seconds to catch Jamal Clouden.
And now Hibbs is on the inside, and Mike Matthews will be on the inside of Harris, that is. Not Harris, sorry.
Hibbs, yeah. So, Ledger just tipping a wheel onto the gravel on the outside, coming up the hill. Very easy to do there, just dropping wheel. The curb falls away from you as well. Now it's Ledger, Hibbs, Mike, and who's just behind that of Mike Matthews? That is the lapped Ford Mustang, I believe, of Rob Smith. Then Matt Wright into the pits. Has Matt Wright done enough to put himself between Dan and O'Reilly? Williams has got the fastest lap of the race. I don't think Matt will be in between Dan and Harris. Dan's already going to get past him. You can see on the mini track map in the bottom corner. But Ben Ruck got a comfortable lead at the minute from Rob Ramsell. Ramsell coming up into that second split now. He's 10 seconds behind already. So the bonus for O'Reilly is he's got a bit of clean air. He can pump in some good lap times to close that gap over Stardog and Class and Ramsell to try and overcut.
I'm watching a battle back here. Mike Matthews is closing onto the back of Hibbs a little bit more. He's all over his bumper now.
Yeah, coming through the Andretti hairpin. There you go. Towards turn 2 now. Matthews, although actually probably classed as turn 3. The Americans like, this is probably classed as turn 3 towards turn 4. There you go. Lovely night race scenery here at Laguna Seca. Spooky Laguna, as Langley said. Hibbs isn't far off the back of Ledger here, so he's trying to keep in the fold of this one. Ramsell has got Class right with him, and Class decided to go into the pits. He's going to come in and try and get that undercut opportunity there. So back to Patrick Ledger now, who is the man to watch. He's pulled away from Hibbs a little bit. That is a slow Michael Harris, and all three of them will sail on through. Matt Wright has fell behind Mike Matthews, so an inter-team fight there between the SimPlay Racing boys for the top of gold. Michael want to pass Ledger as well, because Ledger's closing them down in this one for that gold win. Although it's Ramsell sitting in the pole seat for the win in the class for this round 19 race. Ben Ruck is well out in front. Yellow flag, that is car 59. Millington's had another moment. That is at the corkscrew once again. So Millington just struggling through the corkscrew. He goes on everybody else on their way. Top 4 still to pit. Brandon Williams, by the way, started from the pit lane. Fastest lap. 1.2 off the back of Keenan Stardog. He's flying at the moment.
Yeah, Clash just out of the pits right now. Behind Clouden and Dan and...
Yeah, he's behind O'Reilly.
O'Reilly, yep.
Yeah, so O'Reilly got the jump on Class. I'd assume O'Reilly's going to get the jump on Rob Ramsell. Gap down to 3.34 O'Reilly on Clouden. Catching's one thing, passing is another. We're seeing Mike Matthews pretty much following that of Hibbs at the moment. We've got Michael Harris further back. Matt Wright's a bit further off the back of Hibbs. Led and John Goudet by 1.5 seconds. So they're keeping up their fight. Williams now, in fact, he's already got past that of Stardog. He's already jumped him. He's moved up into 3rd place, and he's going to come into the pits, as is Stardog. Rob Ramsell also in. Rob will be wanting a good stop here to keep him in that top 5 in this race. He stops in his box. When's he going to go green? Should be any time now, I'd assume. Bit of a longer one.
Oh, Michael,
green now.
Harris is round at the hairpin. He's parked in the middle of the track.
Yeah, that's coming out the corkscrew, isn't it?
Again.
Yeah, out the corkscrew, gets going, loses out to Goudet. So he's down in 14th place now, Michael Harris. Ramsell comes out the pits. O'Reilly has passed him, so it is just one car between Dan and O'Reilly. So can Dan get the jump on Ben? Ben will hope that he's done enough to stay ahead of Dan Davis in this championship fight. A great team battle between the Audio Sport boys, as well as them trying to close down on O'Reilly. Ramsell comes out the pitch just behind Klaas, so Klaas gets the undercut to take the gold lead in this race. Rob Ramsell's got to try and stop him in his tracks if he can. He's a little bit behind, so undercut strong here tonight, Langley.
I found the undercut strong last night as well. I don't know why. It's like the tires, they cool down just a couple degrees, and that outlap you get a lot more grip. And even though you might, especially in the feature, you might be heavier fuel, it feels like the tires get a second life.
So there we go. Mathew still on the back of Hibbs. We've got Ledger on the back of Ramsell. Just further up the road, Ben Rupp's coming to the pit lane. 54 seconds. No, says Chris. Big no in capital letters. Not sure why. Ben is in the pits. Are we expecting some form of penalty to Ben here? He said no. Evening to Paul Williams in the chat. What is that about? Dan Davis is going to take the lead of this race. Ben Rupp exits the pit lane. No penalties popped up, but Ben will be in second place. It could be an Audio Sport 1-2, but crucially, Dan's got 2 cars between himself and O'Reilly on the final lap of this race here at Laguna Seca for round 9 of the season. Ben has lost the lead by a comfortable margin here. There we go. Chris says he spun on the pit entry.
And it looks like Matthew Wright just got by, oh no, that's a lap car, sorry, of Cardno.
So Matt Wright gets past Cardno. He's also past Stardog, so Stardog must have had a moment somewhere, because he's now between Wright and Goudet. Mike's still on the back of Hibbs, who's on the back of Ledger, who's on the back of Rob Ramsell. Rob just a second to Klaas, but he knows he's got one lap. What's happened to Jamal Clouden? He's gone very slow, and Klaas has gone through, and O'Reilly now is up into 3rd place. So what has happened to Jamal Clouden there? Didn't see a yellow flag, so not sure what has gone off, but Jamal Clouden has dropped down to P5 in this race. We turn though to Dan Davis, who is going to take a sprint win here at Laguna Seca. Ben's between him and O'Reilly, so it will be at least 8 points he'll take out of O'Reilly. He also has the fastest lap back from Williams. So Dan Davis rounds the final corner. He's going to take the sprint win. He's going to slow down and wait for Ben. They weave as they come towards the line. Dan Davis P1, Ben Rupp P2, Kieran O'Reilly P3. Damage limitations after a moment, lap 1. Klaas hanging on in there from Jamal Clouden. He's going to take the gold win, and he's going to get P4 overall. Great drive from Klaas. Jamal Clouden 5th, Ramsell 6th, Ledger 7th. Then it is Hibbs from Mike. Brandon Williams P10 after starting from the pit lane. Not a bad comeback drive for him. Matt Wright P11. Stardog will come across for P12. Cardno 16th. Rob Smith 17th. Goudet 13th. And we just await Harris and Millington. Harris P14 and Steve Millington P15. What a start to the race it has been tonight. Absolute dramatic here. And a great start for the Audio Sport team, especially in that Constructors' Championship. Good though for Dan and Ben in that Drivers' Championship as Steve comes to the line and crosses it now. That is race 1 over and done with. We will be back in a few then, ladies and gentlemen, to SimPlay Motorsport here for the second race of the afternoon and the qualifying session for tonight's race. What an epic race one it was. And the championship standings, it's 76 points between Ben and Kieran O'Reilly in this one. Greg, we were saying off air that a lot of mistakes by drivers on their own in that race.
Yeah, for sure. And like I mentioned before race one even started, I think the winners and the ones who are going to be fighting up front are who keep their nose the cleanest. I mean, you saw Clouden, he was fast, but he dropped behind a gold class, and that's just because he made a mistake, and O'Reilly had to fight his way back up. He was a bit lucky he made it early before the pit stop, so he could get the pit stop out the way at least. And I think from where he fell back to, he fought, probably gained around 8, 9, maybe 10 positions from where he fell back. But yeah, keeping your car off the dirt and the braking zones, and keeping your car online so you don't understeer wide.
Yeah,
it's definitely difficult, and the ones who are able to do that the best will be the ones fighting for the wins in their classes.
Yeah, indeed. So O'Reilly's coming out of qualifying just outboard him. He actually still looks like he's preparing his tyres here. Does Kieran O'Reilly then? So clearly not happy with the temperatures. Classes in the pits. Obviously he has to serve a qualifying ban. De Bont not here, so his ban will carry on over unless he comes in for that second race. But the championship standings was O'Reilly 68 points clear of Dan Davis, and it's Ben Rook 76 behind. Brandon Williams overtake Rhea McGowan, De Bont from Jamal Clouden. It's Mike Matthews who extends that leading gold from Matt Wright, Patrick Ledger, then Hibbs, Michael Harris, Tardock, Goudet. Cordno now cannot win the championship, neither can Stardog, Rams or Smith, Skunky, Cairns class, Millington, Hoffer, Rosowski, Hayo and Sullivan. As early qualifying lap times come in, let's go and pick up the 135 of Matt Wright. In this one, Teams Championship, 192 points separate Audio Sport from Dapper Racing with Cloud9 P3, SimPlay Racing P4, MSA, Greasy Bandits, Team GBR, AS Racing, Team RRM, and then Utopia Motorsport. Quantum Motorsport can now not win the Constructors' Championship, and Matt Knight goes into P4 with Dan Davis, current pole sitter at the moment. That's the interesting one to keep our eyes on by some 0.6 of a margin. But O'Reilly was clearly preparing for the second lap, not the first.
One thing I've realized is I think I mentioned by race one the track was optimum. It is still fast for these guys in quali. If it flips to optimum, the times will drop dramatically, and we could see a mixed up grid from that happening.
And it's going to be an interesting one to keep our eyes on. Like you said, it is still a fast track. Not as many cars out here tonight as what there was on Tuesday or on Wednesday evening. So not as many cars to get that track up to its optimum condition. And so far with only 5 minutes left of practice, you just feel that this track may stay fast. And this could have a bit of an impact in terms of... apologies, I've not unmuted Langley there, so apologies. No, sure I have. Only visibility. Oh no, sorry, so Sylph was answering a different question. Apologies, that was my mistake. With this track going to optimum, as O'Reilly goes provisional pole by half a second then, so a bit of a good margin to Dan Davis. This track going to optimum potentially in the race could have a huge, difference in what the track will feel like for that 70 minutes.
Definitely. Honestly, I don't know whether that would benefit pitting early or pitting late. I think the tires wear a little more on a greener track because you're sliding that little bit more, but I could be completely wrong. I'm not sure what, in terms of I know it's faster, but in terms of tire wear, I'm actually not sure what the difference of a faster optimum track would do.
Brandon Williams up into second place, 2.5 tenths off the back of his teammates as Ben Rook now moves up into second place to go within 2 tenths of Kieran O'Reilly. Dapper versus Team Audio Sport. Andy Kelly is away for this week, so we're joined in by Langley from the Pro-Am Series as Starlock crosses line. No improvement there. Mike Mathew still not got all that time on the board. O'Reilly is invalidated for his this current lap that he is on, so he will not be able to improve this time round at the moment. That Mercedes though, Williams had a few weeks where he's just not been able to get out the best out of that Mercedes. Here he looks like he's, the pace wise anyway, looks back to his best form. We know he had that problem internet wise being kicked out in race one, but so far so good for Williams pace wise in this one.
For sure, and The one we had leading the practice session has not set a lap time yet. Mike Matthews down in P16, yet to set a lap time, and just now coming out the pits again.
Just so I was saying, Williams there has a bit of a spin into the wall. Rob Ramsell's had a moment at the corkscrew. Next car on a valid lap is the 31 of Hibbs, so we'll go on board with him for the time.
Rob needs to move his car. Yeah, there we go.
I don't know if Wade did just pull that back into the pit lane. He must be wanting to carry on his way. So class, remember, qualifying ban for him. De Bont looks like he'll have to carry his over to Snett to not the place you'd want to qualify man. Hibbs moves up into P8. What about the 34 of Harris? He's P9 with his lap time. O'Reilly's back on a lap, but it's Dan Davis who took the provisional pole last time around. So good evening to Sylph and Andrew Aberdeen in the chat. Natasha Rook, well done Audio Sport boys, she said in the break. Have to send Kelly on holiday more often, says Rob Smith. Can't believe Ben spun in the pit entry. Good evening to Andy, good evening to Sylph, as we've said. Hi Mr Duffin, looking forward to the action. It's all going to go down at turn 1. It went down before turn 1 last night. Sylph, you missed that one. As O'Reilly to the line. Whoa, so very close. 300ths of a second separating him and Dan Davis. This is going to be an interesting one. Chris saying Norfolk, terrible track. Probably the worst track in Britain, Chris, I'd say.
Yeah, I think this quali is going to be exciting because it is a bit of a shorter lap, so we get more laps to go up on the board. So they're going to be going back and forth, I think, all the way till the very final one
and this
crossing
track,
the line.
Gray, is constantly rubbering in until it gets that optimum condition, isn't it? It's constantly going to feel like it's improving every second you go around. Still saying, come on lads, there's a 21 in there, I believe. There potentially is John Goudet has just moved up into P7 while we were watching Jamal Cloud. So good lap there from John Goudet. 31 of Hibbs next towards the line. Mike Matthews still does not have a lap time on the board. He's really got to get one on there. Hibbs stays P9 for the time being. The 741 of Stardog then down in 15th place. What can he do in this race? Comes to the line now, crosses it, no improvement for him. The 515 yellow flag, that is Williams, just creating himself some space to go again. O'Reilly's the next man to finish a lap. Cardno currently up in P5, great qualifying for Cardno.
For sure. We'll see what Dan and O'Reilly can do now. O'Reilly crosses the line, goes P1.
Finds a 10th and a half, in fact, nearly 2 tenths in fact to go ahead of Dan Davis. Cardno moves up into P4, so a good lap from himself there. Here comes Jamal Cloud, and Dan's on an invalidated lap. And Jamal Cloud makes 10ths off the pole. Can he find any more time? Does, goes P3, 3 tenths off the pole. So an interesting time there. Mike Matthews once again has invalidated his lap time. He's got one run to get a lap on under his belt here.
Is Ben Rook improving? He's going to the line now, or into the final corner.
Yeah, into the final corner. Goudet stayed well out the way, must have invalidated his lap. Ledger to the line, stays P11. Ben Rook to the line now. That is Millington just in behind them. Here comes Ben Rook. Does he improve? He does. Goes second place. Steve Millington stays 14th. So Ben knocks his teammate down to the second row. Goes within 27 thousandths of a second. Hibbs moves up the order another place. Harris now moves up to 7th. What about Stardog? Track is improving. Track evolution, absolute key. Here comes Stardog. Goes up to 11th. Rob Ramsell will get one more run in here, as might Williams, as might Kieran O'Reilly, which could be all important. Ramsell to the line. He goes up into P8. Williams to the line. He goes up into 4th. O'Reilly to the line. Will get one more run in. Improves to 63 thousandths to Ben Rook. Jamal Clouden first to finish qualifying. I tell you what, O'Reilly could have the benefit of being the last man to set a lap time here. He's gone, no, he slouched on the track, read the wrong number there. Here comes Clouden. Ben Rook is in the pits. Clouden stays where he is. What about Dan Davis? Needs to pull out a heck of a lap time here. Does he get it on the board? No, so close, 400ths of a second. Matt Wright to the line. Where does he go? Moves up a place to 10th. Mike Matthews, will he get one on the board here? Yes, he will. It goes P7.
Oh, wow.
Good lap from Mike at the very end. Hibbs has had a moment. That could be the end of his qualifying. But Dan Davis and Ben Rook are in the pits. It's going to be between Williams and that then of Kieran O'Reilly, because Williams is only 3 tenths. That is Ramsell in the wall. Williams and O'Reilly, the only two to set a lap time. What a qualifying this is. The top 3 separated by less than a tenth of a second. What can Williams do? 3.5 tenths off the pole.
We'll see. Oh, he's a bit wide,
That's
and he
that.
spun.
That is all she wrote. Kieran O'Reilly now doesn't need to do this lap, but he's going to anyway. Can he set the world on fire here? He comes to the line. Can he dip into the 21s? The Honda of O'Reilly gets to the line and doesn't find an improvement. But my oh my, that is close between the top three.
Wow, 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 wow. 600s cover the top three. What an absolutely stonking qualifying session that was. Adrenaline to the very end. Did not know who was going to take pole, but it's your championship leader bouncing back from that mistake in race 1 to take pole here at Laguna Seca.
Cardno P6 pole for the goals. That's a great qualifying for him. More importantly as well for O'Reilly, it's that extra point for pole position to just put him back a point ahead. It's that fastest lap that Dan basically had kind of negates that in race 1, but it is the two championship protagonists. In fact, it's the three championship protagonists on them front spots here. Williams' car I cannot see on the grid. He's disconnected again. Something's not right there for Williams. Hopefully he gets back in with plenty of time this time round, because he'll want to help his teammate out, that is for sure. Hibbs then was P number 10 at the end. It says 9 now, but I'm going to put Williams as 4th place on the grid. Goudet would have been P12. Dan Davis obviously P2. Ben Rook P3. Millington would be P16. From them out of Ramsell, who would have been P9, and then Mike Matthews would be P7, and Matt Wright would have been P11. Whoa, that could have gone any way in qualifying there.
Yeah, I'm looking at the chat right now. Senior Swine, you said O'Reilly was going to produce a 21. I hate to say you were only 6,000ths off, but still, what an absolutely exhilarating quali session that was. And if Race 2 is anything like Race 1, oh, you can't leave now. Go get your popcorn really quick. get some snacks, get some drinks, sit down, relax for Race 2. I think we're in for a really good one here.
I think we are as well. It's put Williams in, but he's in the pit lane, so will not be starting from P3 on the grid. So what a shame for Williams here. No de Bont, that will carry his qualifying ban over to that of Snetterton. Not exactly the place for a qualifying ban. Dan versus O'Reilly versus Ben, who are you going for?
Oh man, I would say whoever makes it to the out of turn 1 first, but I don't know. I really don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, you're asking me to pick between 3 people who were within 600ths of each other in quali. Now, obviously, I think we have to say O'Reilly's the favorite just because he's the championship leader, but I feel like Dan will be desperate to make that move to get ahead of O'Reilly and hopefully control the pace out in front. But if the two of them come together, Ben's right there to scoop up the scraps.
The sad thing about it for Williams and O'Reilly's side of things is Williams now doesn't have that backup. Dan can, like you say, get in front and really hold O'Reilly for Ben to try and have an attack. But Ben's in this championship for himself, so he's not just going to want to attack O'Reilly, is he? He's going to want to attack his teammate. He's really going to want to try and put, himself in a position to win this race outright as well. So it is going to be an interesting one to keep our eyes on. Poll up in the chat. Dan Davis, Kieran O'Reilly, Ben Rook, or other. If you pick other, please do comment who you think will win this race. I've got to back the Honda. I think O'Reilly can do the job here.
I mean, from what he's shown this season, yes. But if he makes that same mistake as he did in the first race, it would be hard to come back and pip Dan or Ben off the top spot, but they're forming up now.
The interesting thing as well, Gray, still a fast surface out there.
Yes, so when will we see that go to optimum? Will we see it go to optimum?
Yeah, that's going to be the interesting question. Will we see this go to optimum? That's going to be the biggest question. Don't forget, hit that thumbs up button if you like what you see here. Hit the bell to be notified and subscribe to the channel if you are new. What a season it's been. We've managed to get nearly almost 100 subscribers in this season. It's been absolutely fantastic. We've gone over and surpassed that 1,000 mark by a long way. We're 1,042. So thank you guys for watching week in and week out. But for round 20 of the season, We get to the final corner on the formation lap. Watch out for Jamal on the second row. He could be an interesting one as well. Honda power, says Andrew Aberdeen. In the 1 week that Kelly's not here to say that Honda's a lawnmower, there's no grass to cut out there, it's all just dirt. But here we go, round 20, 3 weeks left to go. And it's Kieran from Dan from Ben. We're green and go here for round 20. Kieran and Dan getting very close already. Ben gets the jump on Jamal Clouden. Mike and Cordno are close on the third row back. And it's Ben having a look up the inside of Jamal Clouden. Dan that outside line. Probably going to yield that one. Try and slot in between O'Reilly and Ben. And he does just that. But O'Reilly gets the launch out to turn one he'd needed. Little wiggle from Mike Matthews just next to that. A Cordno all managing to get through nice and cleanly. Keep your eyes on Williams' progress. And already end of the first sector. Everybody away well, but O'Reilly did the exact job he needed to do.
Yeah, for sure. They're battling it out back here. Looking 3 wide into turn 4, maybe. No, Millington backs out of it. Smart man, but they're still 2 wide going up to the kink.
Well, that's given Millington a great run up as well. That is alongside that of Patrick Ledger. Poor qualifying for him. Millington dives up the inside, avoids that little sausage curve and gets through. Goudet's now having a look. That is a slow Rob Ramsell. He's made a mistake somewhere, and Hibbs is going to think, I fancy this into the corkscrew. Rob stays side by side with him. They're together down through the corkscrew. Ledger and Millington are side by side through the corkscrew. What a set of battles that was through the corkscrew, and they all come away scot-free. Millington and Ledger still together. Ramsell and Hibbs still together, and the Quantum boys up the inside get them positions. And what a bit of battling that was. But O'Reilly already getting the jump on Dan Davis.
Oh, somebody's around and he's not on the brakes, and I believe that was that Matt or was that Mike?
Well, Matt Wright is around.
That's Matt,
the 444 of Class and the Ford Mustang of Rob Smith all involved, and that is going to help out. In fact, Rob Ramsell was also in that squabble there, so he's lost out as well, and all that is going to help out Brandon Williams gain a few places at the end of the opening lap. Great fight behind Jamal Clouden at the moment. He's got him. He's got that of Cordno, Mike Matthews, Michael Harris. We saw how much Mike struggled to get past Hibbs in race 1. Can he do it today? The other thing we'll say, and we're not going to say it on air because we don't want to give strategy away, is tyres. The talk point of tyres all season, but fuel loads. What are people going to run in this race?
So I'm looking at the replay here. I know you can't see it on stream, but watching back, going into the final corner, it looked like Goudet tapped the back of Matt Wright, and then Matt Wright, instead of staying on the brakes while everyone goes by, he moves slightly forward and clips the rear of Rob Ramsell and causes chaos in the final corner.
We said last night, didn't we, as a joke, that it'd be Mike and Matt that come together, but it's Matt and Rob that's come together. Obviously, yeah. Matt Wright, Quantum Motorsport on a Tuesday evening, owner of Quantum Motorsport, who's under the SimPlay name for a Thursday night, but Quantum owner has hit one of the Quantum drivers. I'm sure that'll be a great debrief for the Quantum guys there at the end of this race, but already 1.1 seconds, O'Reilly to Dan, fastest lap for O'Reilly, Ben Rooks P3, then it's Jamal Clouden, Thomas Cordno, Mike Matthews, Michael Harris, Damien Hibbs from Patrick Ledger, who is actually, who's he behind though? He's behind the 31, so no, yeah, that's right. Then it's Millington, and then that of Goudet on the back of Millington now. Then Stardog from Ramsell Class. Smith has just been overtaken by Williams, and then it's Matt Wright at the back on his own at the moment. Closest fight on circuit is Goudet and Steve Millington at the moment.
Yeah, for sure, and we'll see how strategy pans out. Speaking from it just last night, I think these pros will all be on similar strategy. It's just depending on when they pit, and now you did mention at the beginning the track was fast. It is already up to optimum, but the optimum, when it says optimum, that's like the lowest level of optimum. The track still has rubber to be laid down and grip up even more from this point.
Yes, we've got a bit more grip to be laid down yet. There's still an hour and 6 minutes left. We've got 2 laps before it went optimum then. Kane's in the chances. He tried the Honda and Laguna a few weeks
Davis
back.
is wide and Ben Rook is through.
Managed 2 laps, says Kane. So Ben Rook's got past Dan Davis. A mistake from Dan. We've seen a few mistakes from Dan the last 2 seasons. There's another one, and basically that gap that O'Reilly had at the beginning of race 1 looked like it could be exactly the same, plus an extra point for that pole position, because as it stands, it'll be the exact same result, but Dan and O'Reilly flipped.
Yeah, I mean, he just ran wide at the penultimate corner. I didn't see him lose the back end or anything, so weird one that is, but I'm sure he'll get back on it.
I'm sure he'll get back on it. Indeed, Stardog on the back of Goudet. Goudet just losing out a little bit to Millington. Millington still with Ledger. Ledger not having as strong a night as normal. Just looking at the fuel here, there are some split strategies on the track at the moment, which is interesting to see. Also, it's a circuit where fuel's not a high consumption around here, so don't be fooled by a few lower levels of fuel. But drivers going till the very end. Ben now 2 seconds behind O'Reilly. Kieran has just put the foot down, and Dan's 2 seconds behind O'Reilly. He's got Jamal with him. So has Dan made another mistake somewhere?
He must have. There's no way he would lose 2 seconds to Ben in just one lap. So he's had to make another mistake out there somewhere. And Jamal all over his rear end right now.
Yeah, this is on board with Jamal Clouden at the moment. A wiggle from Jamal on the curve. Dan in his sights. Wants to attack Dan Davis, rivals of season 5 where Jamal nearly took the crown away from Dan Davis. Dan obviously a couple of seasons without a championship to his name, which is very strange for Dan. He's got a couple of wins this season, which is great news for him because he didn't win a single race. Jamal hot into turn 1, a little deeper than he'd have liked. And Dan Davis, I'm sure there would have been squeaky bum time looking in that rear view mirror. And O'Reilly doing what he needs to do. Mike Matthews now has a look up the inside of Cardo in towards turn number 3. Can't do anything, sorry, turn number 2. Can't do anything there. And backs out of that one. Difficult to overtake around Laguna, isn't it? Because you've really got to have that momentum out the corner before to get alongside. And if not slightly in front for that next corner. It's not the easiest of places to overtake.
Correct. But unlike other tracks, I would say that Laguna is one of the easier ones to force a mistake out of the other driver.
Yeah, completely agree with you there. So easy to just make them nervous, touch them sausage curves on the apexes, run a little wide on the exits, or maybe even have a look. Mike has got a history of following cars into the corkscrew. I should know, it was on me. He missed his brakes a little bit and decided to shout brake, brake, brake 3 times, in which Mike panicked, made the corkscrew by cutting it. Yeah, it was a lovely moment, so hopefully he can't knows
off
it.
At the
he is.
Cloudens off an ultimate corner, yep.
He was
Not
following
sure what's happened
Dan.
there.
Can't rejoin yet, can now. Ahead of Millington. Millington has dropped John Goudet with a look at where's Goudet gone? He's actually lost out to Ramsel and Stardog, so Goudet dropped down the order a little bit there. Interesting for John at the moment.
Trying to see what happened to Jamal real quick. He was following Dan, no contact whatsoever. He runs wide at the second to last and just loses it into the dirt. Saves it, keeps it out the barrier, but multiple positions lost.
So easy to do here as well, Gary. So easy to just run a little wide. That gravel kind of almost sucks you in.
Definitely, and if it doesn't suck you in, then you're losing the back end just a little bit. Your tires are dirty for the next corner. You're sliding around on an already cooler, less rubber track, so very tricky out there.
2 degrees warmer than last night. We're currently still watching Mike Matthews at the moment on the back of Cardno for the gold lead as well in this race. Harris not a million miles away. Millington on the back of Jamal, but he's got Stardog with him as well. The Mustang hasn't gone great here tonight, although it's got the run up the hill towards the corkscrew. Millington and Stardog a little earlier on the brakes, or maybe had a bit of a lift, but he did not fancy taking that Mustang side by side through the corkscrew there. Probably a sensible option for him. Yeah,
the corkscrews, besides turn 1, is the heaviest braking zone on the track, and it's a single file corner. If you don't have a compliant opponent going side by side with you, it's gonna end in tears.
So the WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna, Seca. Used to have a Cora back on Project Corsa who plastered all over it, and I was loving it. Sorry, Acura plastered all over it. I was absolutely loving it. That says Lexus everywhere, and it's not as good. But Honda leads the race here at Laguna Seca. Mike's on the back of Cardno. This is a fight for 10th and 11th between Millington and that of Stardog. Williams up to 14th, 2 seconds off the back of Goudet, but Williams got good pace in his car. Goudet's looked like he's come on in the second half of this season. Looks like the Pro-Am runner-up from last season started to find his feet as the season's gone on.
Yeah, for sure. And just watching Ben Rook now has fastest lap. I think he's slowly but surely. I mean, we have 60 minutes still, but he's slowly but surely reeling in O'Reilly.
He's not really being caught by Dan either, is he? So he's not being under pressure from his teammates at the moment. And gloves are off in the audio sport camp. Let's make this perfectly clear. Chris was telling us in the chat race 1 that the gloves are off. Ben is racing Dan for second place, and if not this overall championship. Mike a little wide out the penultimate corner, was so close to Cordno through the corkscrew that he thought maybe he could set him up. Well, he's lost momentum. He's now got Harris on the back of him. This is looking on board Michael Harris's view. And this is what we can see now of Mike Matthews at the moment. Just in front, coming down into turn one, picking up the braking zone, goes Harris. Nicely done. Harris, Mike and Cordno. Cordno showing his colours tonight. He's a better driver than I think what we've seen this season, and he's another man who's kind of been finding his feet, Cordno. Saw him back on the Project Cars 2 game in the Touring Cars Championship we ran, was second place to Fury on the night. It was Bates. Chris is saying, what are tyres like around here? Greg, you're the better one to explain from the GT3 running you did last night.
Tire wear around here is not too bad. You would have thought tire wear wouldn't have been too bad around Suzuka last week either, but it was quite a bit hotter than it usually is for a night race. Here it is cooler, so tires usually tend to stay together pretty well. But even for the pros, even when the tire wear is quite high, like for example Paul Ricard I think was some of the highest tire wear we've seen all season. Most of the pros still only did not take tires. So I don't think, I think the most popular strategy tonight is to not take tires, run on a heavy tank of fuel, and just do a splash and dash again. Yeah, tires should be all right to just do one stint here. But I will say that if you can get the strategy right with taking tires, it makes the crossover very close in between the two. It's not a for sure thing, as we see Clouden actually set fastest lap of the race. It's a shame he had that earlier mistake.
Yeah, he's gaining on the back of Patrick Ledger here, is Jamal Clouden. Matt Wright's in the pits. He's just been lapped by nearly the entire field. So he's obviously had a moment somewhere for him to be into the pit lane then there. Robson saying that he found it so slidey last night, had to change tyres. I tell you what, it's a shame we're not at Watkins Glen. Obviously Hurricane Erin has been sort of pestering that side of America a little bit, without hitting thankfully, but Watkins Glen would have been a juicy wet race, I reckon, at the moment. It's got it pretty bad weather-wise so far due to Hurricane Erin, so that would have been a juicy wet race. We've not had a good wet race for a long time. Dry here in Laguna, I believe in California. So
yeah, it's very dry climate throughout most of the year, and that's why you don't really see green grass, because it's not humid at all. It's very dry. It looks like dirt. I could be wrong, but I think it's just dead grass.
We'll go with dirt, just for the fact that Kelly can't call it a lawnmower when he comes back. Mike Matthews still then within half a second of Cordno. He's pulled away a little bit from Harris. Closest, in fact, no, sorry, changed my mind. Back down to John Gooday, Rob Ramsey and Stardog. Gooday right on the back of Stardog here. They've got Williams with them as well. Williams got him for that early pit stop, probably the best of choices. Oh, Stardog's had a moment, and John Gooday taps the rear of him. Stardog lost the rear on his own. Not a lot John could have done there.
Oh man, that well, it looked like Stardog tapped the back of Rob, it was, and then Gooday, I mean, yeah, he did tap the rear, but he had almost no time to react.
Yeah, nowhere to go. He's turning into the corner, just coming off the brakes. So Stardog's rear's going round in front of him. Cordno then now back to this fight between Cordno and Mike. This now becomes the closest battle on the circuit. Keep your eyes on Ledger and Clouden, though. That time is coming down between Clouden and Ledger. The problem is as we said in race one, Catching's one thing, passing's another. Ben to O'Reilly 2.3, Ben to Dan 2.3, so kind of as they are, they're pulling away from this battle here. And Cordno, can he keep this up for the entire 56 more minutes left of racing? I think we've had one wet GT4 race in the last 2 seasons, and I think that was only damp prop. I don't think it was a full wet race. It may have turned wet, but it was like damp into wet or damp into dry, I can't remember. But yeah, we're due a wet race. You'd have thought last season, with Alton Park and Donington being at the back end of the year in the winter time, you know, would have provided some dramas, but no, dry. And we go to Snetterton. Mike giving Cordno a cheeky flash of the lights. Hey, pal, I'm here, let me through. Cordno is not going to oblige to that, though. He's going to want to fight Mike as hard as he can. Gap down from Ben to 2.2 to O'Reilly, and he's opened the gap up to Dan to 2.5. The gap down to 2 seconds now, so Ben's taken 3/10 in the first 2 sectors out, and has opened the gap up nearly 3/10 to Dan Davies. So Ben on a bit of a charge at the moment in this race, and good on him, because he's driving a good race. Like we say, gloves off at Audio Sport.
Yeah, for sure, and right before we saw that incident between Stardog, Rob, and Gude, I think Williams made his pit at the perfect time. He decided to dip into the pits right there, so now he has a bit of clean air to push into.
What a decision as well, because obviously they hit each other, didn't they, in the final corner, so if he'd have been involved in that, that could have been damage and just more nightmare to his race.
Yeah, for sure. So
Mike's having a look at the corkscrew. Sorry, Greg. Mike's had a look at the corkscrew. Gets up the inside. Cardno's pretty much come to a stop. He did not want to fight that too hard. And Mike Matthews, I hope he shouted break, 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 because Cardno was well out of the way, and Mike Matthews goes up into P4.
That's some good flashbacks for you, Matt, right there.
Mike didn't pass me. That was the only thing I could say. Mike didn't pass me. Snetterton 76% on Wednesday and 61 Thursday next week on current forecast. Yeah, but it'll be dry by the time we get round there. Yeah, it'll be dry by the time we get there. Sadly, hopefully it stays pretty wet. That'd be nice to see. But Mike Matthews, well, Cardno, check your underpants at the end of that one, because that, geez, that could have been. I can't wait to speak to Mike at the end of this race, because I'm sure the break, break, break may have been shouted, especially if he's missed the race. This has put Harris now onto Cardno.
Yeah.
Cardno's not lost out too much out to Mike.
I thought he was on the back of Ledger there, and yeah, he's 3.3 back again.
Yeah, it was within a half a second. He has dropped back a little bit, so a mistake there. Rob Smith into the pits, and he's been passed by Williams and Matt Wright. So Matt Wright has unlapped himself from Rob Smith. He's now on the same lap as Rob Smith in this race. Go back to that Harris fight at the moment. He's on the back of Cardno, who takes a very tighter line through the corkscrew this time. Make sure Harris can't come flying up the inside. Harris took a wider berth. Hibbs catching in the background. Hibbs, another driver that's come on leaps and bounds as this season's gone on.
Yeah, for sure. Got someone in the pits right now, Rob Smith, yeah.
That may be obviously his mandatory stop, plus then that bit of damage he may have sustained from the tap from Gude. And obviously, as we said, not John's fault there, couldn't really do anything about it. He's away now. And Rob Smith, well, he was on 42 litres when he pitted, so I'm assuming he's had a long fuel to the end, repair whatever damage he had, and gets to the end now on that.
Yeah, probably. It looks like the closest fight we have on track right now is Cardno and Harris. That gold fight looks really tight right now, but O'Reilly's pulled out the gap just a little bit more, just 0.3 more. They're all really similar pace. I mean, yeah. I think pit stop's going to be the difference in this race. Who can hit the line the cleanest? Who can carry the most speed to the pit line? Who can get through that left-hand kink without having to really lift? Who can get in their box the cleanest? I mean, it's all. I feel like that's all that's going to be the difference in this race.
So it's 29 seconds for the perfect 1 litre pit stop. It is what the pit stop time is. Just looking at the last laps here, you're saying how close it is on times. 22.8 Kieran O'Reilly, 23.0 Ben, 22.8 Dan Davis, 23.5 Mike Matthews. So not a million miles off the back of the leader's pace is Mike. But obviously he's been behind Cardno, so he's put him 9 seconds behind. But yeah, a lot of 23s, some 24s down the bottom end of the field. But the top three, all within 0.2 of each other on the last lap. They are absolutely flying right now. They start lap 13. We'll see what the lap times are when they've crossed the line as they update on our time history next to us. But this is the closest fight, and I said that Cardno was sticking to Mike. He's lost out to Mike now. Harris within half a second. Hibbs now under a second to Harris, so Hibbs starting to close that gap up a little bit more.
Yeah, it looks like Mike's just pieced out after he's made that overtake. He's 2 seconds already ahead of Cardno. Looking like he has some really good pace in that McLaren tonight. I know he said he's been struggling with the balance of it as the season's gone on, but not struggling with the balance tonight. Track temperature's cooler than usual, and the ambient temperature's cooler. Maybe he excels a bit in these cooler conditions.
Mike does love this place. When the admins used to be the ones before the patrons to pick the circuits, whether it was Project Corsa or here, obviously we didn't pick the same on the following season. Mike would always pick between Laguna and Daytona Road Course and Project Corsa, and Laguna was one of his picks for the ACC season as well, so he does love this place. Gap up to 10.4, Mike to Dan. What was the last laps actually now, of course, 22.9, 22.9, 22.9. So the front three, matching each other. O'Reilly was...
Oh, Harris has a wiggle and he's going round.
Ah, fully gone. Tank slapper trying to catch it. Round goes Harris. Through goes Ledger. Jamal will be the next one to come through. Bit of a gap now for Harris to spin it round before Millington and Ramsell come through. No, there's Millington, there's Ramsell. They've gone through. Harris still not round yet. I think he's got it going, has he? He's getting there. White flag being shown for slow car ahead. That is Ramsell. That is Harris getting back going. Here comes Class. Harris is away. Who's the 117? That is Smith. Who's a lap down to these two just in front. So that's that overkeeper as of Class and Goudet. That fight's starting to develop. John Goudet gaining on the back of Class here. And on board with John.
It's a shame he was in podium position for the gold class.
Which obviously no podiums at the minute for goals. Class wins, but next season could be the big talking point. Each category will its own championship, so it would give a little more for the gold drivers to fight over. Not just a category, but an overall win for that class and a podium or pole position at the fastest lap.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think the idea is interesting, and it gives us as commentators a lot more to follow along as well. And like that, I mean, that right now would make Hibbs and Ledger the fight for the podium, and then we could be looking at that for a podium on their stats. So
Hibbs now 1.7 to Con. Got to close that gap off. Obviously, he's had to react to that of Harris going off. Goudet 7/10 to Class at the minute, who won the gold race in the sprint. P4 overall, great result, bouncing back from that moment at Suzuka last week where he caught his ignition button. So bouncing back in such a strong way, and I'm going to drop him a message after. Harris is off again. Just seen the yellow flag as these two come around the penultimate corner. They both get past Harris. So Harris, another mistake. Is he going to pull it into the pit lane? No, carries on his merry way. And Goudet really close to back of Class now.
yeah, let's see if he can get up the inside, make a move, stick a nose in there, maybe. Brakes very late. Looks like Class has it covered for now. Still all over his rear wing though.
No, he's just there. Johnny's just right there, making sure that he's known and letting Class feel his presence at the moment. Has a bit of a look. Just looking at the weather, it's 75%. It's a midday race. Big bit of precipitation for 3.8 millimetres. Oh, could be some rain on the practice server to test for, so let's see. Oh, getting excited for next week. F1 Zandvoort next weekend. Who's winning the championship? Lando Norris. I'm going to say that now. I think Lando is going to come back the second half of the season. Can't wait for that one. More importantly though, Chris, it's Donington Park next weekend. Who's winning that championship in the British Touring Cars? If you don't follow it, apologies. All over the back. Has a bit of a snap coming down the bottom of the corkscrew there. Keeps it all together. Doesn't lose too much time. Millington's on the back of his teammate. Just pan to that one. There they are. Go back to Class and John.
Yeah, we'll see if John can make a move. He's pushing that car really hard, leaving no inch in it, trying to make this overtake. It's very hard. If the driver ahead does not make a mistake, it is very hard to overtake, that is for sure.
Well, before the lap they've just done, John was half a second quicker than Class. He's lapping the same as Ramsell and Millington, so he obviously wants to get past, get in some clear air, possibly pump in a few better lap times. Whoa, nearly nose to tail there from John on Class. Turn 1's such an interesting one. Drivers take such a different line, through turn 1. Flashing the lights from Goudet. I didn't really see a lot wrong with that. It's the different lines through turn 1, isn't it? People like to open the front bit up to go tighter into the second part of turn 1, and John kept it tight throughout. It can catch drivers out quite a lot.
Yeah, it would be John's job not to drive into the back of Class. Class doesn't have to do anything for that, so I didn't see anything wrong there. Maybe he's just trying to get into his head a little, trying to force a mistake.
24.4s last time around. Millington did a 25.5, so he lost time to Rob, but still within 0.6 of a second of his teammates. Rob Ramsell, John and Class both in the 24s, but John can't just go any quicker at the moment because that black and white McLaren is right in front of him. Well, there's almost a little time there. Dropped a wheel onto the grass and again on the penultimate corner exit. So just lost a bit of time to that of Class. O'Reilly leads from Ben Rupp, from Dan Davis. your top three. They're still separated by similar margins. It's going up and down a couple of tenths a lap, but nothing more than that, is it? They're just matching each other. O'Reilly a 23.1 last time round, 22.9 from Ben, and a 22.8 from Dan. So, although Dan's had a terrible lap this time, he's lost a lot of time to Ben.
Yeah, I don't know if he just keeps making those small, tiny mistakes. I mean, we saw earlier he ran wide at the penultimate corner, and that's why he's P3 right now. Maybe he just doesn't feel as comfortable with the car on heavy fuel. I mean, what else would you expect besides like near even gaps from three drivers who are only 600ths between them in qualifying?
Rob Smith says Rickard Rydell in the 850 estate to win the BTCC. Rob, I love your thinking. Brilliant car, brilliant driver. Sadly, it won't happen. Yeah, I think Ingram's going to have it. Chris says I'd like Sutton. Yeah, it's been a great fight. It's been a great championship. I'm an Ingram fan, so I'd like Tom Ingram to get his second. I think Tom Ingram's been there or thereabouts every season to get a second, and just hasn't had one yet. A second title, that is. But on with Ramsell and Millington. This shows the pace, by the way, of John. The first sector was 1.3 off the back of Clays. Has gained half a second in the middle sector.
Could be wrong. I think Cardno's made a mistake.
He has, because Hibbs is now 5th. He's dropped behind Clouden, who was ahead of Hibbs. So you are correct on that one, most spotters.
I'll try to find out what happened real quick.
No problem. So you're going to go and check the replay. Chris saying this could be Ben's best race 2 result. We'll have a look at
He's just dropped it. So he's gone through the corkscrew, down the hill, through the left-hander, and he's just lost the back end, tap of the brakes, losing the rear end, and slides into a sort of half spin. So recollects it better than Harris did earlier, but he's got to wait for people to go by and then rejoin. So yeah,
Harris, Langley, yellow flag, he's off again. That's through turn 2. Gets back going now, but this is going to hurt him. Matt Wright's not far from him, and I don't think Matt Wright is on the lead lap of these yet. He's 21 seconds behind Robson. No, Matt Wright's a lap down to these guys. Goude's off at the kink. Looks like he's hit the sausage curb and bounces off the track. Ledger's past Hibbs, so Ledger moves up to P5. Chris saying that he thinks this could be Ben's best race 2 result. I've just looked. His best is currently 3rd. Cardno in the pits, so this would be Ben's best race 2 result of the season. So Harris has had a mistake. John's had another mistake. Matt Wright's 21 seconds for Rob Smith. The problem for Harris is, where's Harris on track? The car behind him is Matt Wright. So if Matt can pass Harris and pull away, when Harris comes to pit, that could do Matt Wright a world of favours.
The thing with this track, if you do not have confidence in your car, it is very hard to get a lap time out of it. Yeah. Because if once you're in the dirt, you've lost any competitive lap times that lap. And especially once you've spun, for example, your tires are just way too hot, and then the confidence that you already didn't have, you have even less now.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, to be fair. Leaders now dipping into the 23s, 23.0, 23.0, 23.2. Mike at 23.8. So Mike almost and Ledger almost matching that of the leaders' pace. Jamal Clouden was where was he? He's crossed the line, hasn't he? So he's gone to his last lap. I know, 23.5
wide
for Jamal.
again.
Well, Williams at 23.2. So Harris wide. That's given, Matt Wright the place. Ben Williams gets the place overall. That gives Matt Wright the chance to have unlapped himself now. So Wright on the same lap now as Harris effectively, which is huge come the end of this race. Every point's going to count for Matt Wright in this Gold Championship. Watching Hibbs at the moment, not catching Ledger as much, so Ledger's pulled away from him. He's got Jamal Clouden within a second, or just over a second, so Clouden at the moment flying and trying to get on the rear of him. Back into the 22s, O'Reilly 22.9, Ben 22.9, Dan 23.0 last time around, Mike at 23.9, Ledger at 24.0, so lap times, the leaders are within a tenth or two of each other every single lap. All the laps that Dan's made a mistake.
I'll tell you what, especially talking championship, Mike could make a massive statement tonight by almost putting one hand on that trophy for the Gold Championship that is this year. He could gain a ton of points over Mathew Wright, and yeah, we'll see. I mean, it looks like he has an outstanding pace so far tonight, so Matt's got to hope for some breaks, maybe some people getting into some trouble. Maybe he could pick up a few more points. It's just damage limitation right now. But Mike is cruising out there in the gold category.
It is indeed, and the gap's 18 points between Mike Matthews to Matt Wright. if Mike misses next week, his drop score's 13. It's the last week of drop scores next week. So Michael gained 13 points effectively from next week being a 0 score for him because he's in Egypt. So Matt needs to damage limitations here, but score big while Mike's away next time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the reason why I managed this, or I found a way to make this week happen for me in Pro-Am. I felt like I could not miss a race, because missing a race even with the drop score is just, you're trusting yourself for the rest of the season, basically.
Yeah, you are. Dan's made another mistake. Gap's 4 seconds, Dan to Ben. 23.7 for Dan, compared to a 23.1 and a 23.0 for O'Reilly and Ben. So Dan, is he just potentially pushing a little too hard to bring that gap down? Does Dan need to let the race come to him? I say that, with all this going off, we're nearly at half distance.
Yeah, I didn't even realize we were at half distance, but I think at some point lap cars will come into play. I mean, most of the field was lapped last night. I think at least half the field will be lapped tonight, probably by the end.
Harris is coming into turn 1. O'Reilly's just crossed the start line, so they're already, you know, coming up to the lap traffic. Ben down to 3 seconds to O'Reilly, so Ben's had a bit of a poor lap. We're watching Jamal and Hibbs at the minute. That gap's half a second. Jamal's going to try and find a way past Hibbs. Hibbs trying to score big over Ledger as well for that, what would technically be 3rd place in Gold Championship come the end of this season. So let's see what happens between Cloud and Damien Hibbs here then. Going to be an interesting one. Dan 3.8 to Ben, Ben 3 seconds to O'Reilly. The top 3 look pretty much like that's how it's going to be. I can't see anything from the top 3 that's going to change that order.
Since I have the chance to go back to it, Chris asked who's winning Zandvoort, who's winning the F1 championship. I think Lando will win Zandvoort. It's a really good track for him, it seems. I think Piastri will take the championship. I think out of, even though he's not very experienced, I think he's very level-headed.
Yeah. Also, he seems like he can take the fight to Max when Max is in the mix a little bit more than what Lando can, I think. So, yeah, it's going to be, the second half of the season is going to be interesting, because we saw Lando come on really strong, didn't we, in that second half last season.
For sure.
So let's see what happens there. Chris saying, is there any fun events planned for the off-season? Bit of a discussion to be had. We don't know how long the off-season is going to be, with obviously pushing the week back. We've got Christmas to keep our eyes on as well. So there will be 1 or 2 at least, but unsure yet as to what it will be. Obviously, the admins will discuss that the week after the championship, and we'll get back from there. Rob Smith, better be alright. I'll have to talk to my wife. McGowan actually used a brilliant, in fact I'm not going to say it in case his wife's watching, but that's getting in trouble. McGowan said the other week that when we had the week break because of Paul Ricard and the game glitching out for the Xbox guys, he said, oh no, I'm not racing tonight, I'm going to watch telly with you, or whatever he was doing with you, I'm just going to miss tonight's racing. He didn't tell her there was a week's break, which I think is brilliant, genius move.
Let's hope you didn't get him in trouble there. That'd be funny.
I think he's on holiday, so I don't think he'll be watching tonight at the moment. Ramsell's got Steve close to the back of him, the Quantum Boys. 8th and 9th. Good night for Rob tonight. 2 top 10s potentially on the cards. He's looked pretty strong here. To say he's half asleep, he's looked pretty strong.
I think both the Quantum Boys look strong tonight after struggling most of the season. They're both in a top 10 position right now, and let's just hope they don't run into each other. I think that's the biggest thing.
There may be an endurance event of some kind, but not 24 hours now. I can guarantee that one. We'll have to do another charity event or another 24-hour event at some time. That will be an interesting one to do. So this is the fight for 8th and 9th. Hibbs is gained on Ledger, so has Ledger made a mistake somewhere? Because that's 9/10ths now. So it's going to be an interesting one to keep our eyes on. Ledger and Clouden within 9/10ths. The thing I've noticed tonight, Ben's got the gap down 6/10ths of a second here, so Ben's gained a lot last lap. The lap times at the minute, Gray, are, you know, at one stage can be half a second, the next can be 9/10ths a second. Really ebbing and flowing. They're coming down and going up like that.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I really think at this point in the race, it looks like the win's just between O'Reilly and Ben Rook. But if Dan can, I mean, he's gained a 10th that lap to Ben. If he can just slowly but surely chip away at that gap. I know it's hard when you're already this fast at the top split, but I think the main difference for the race win is going to be that pit stop.
Traffic as well.
That too, that
Could
too.
play a...
Once they catch it, once they catch to the back of it, yeah. I think Harris got out of the way by pitting, which was good on him not to get involved with the leaders. But so the leaders do have about a half a straightaway until they catch the back of Matt Wright.
Yep.
Williams.
Yes, that's Matt Wright, Williams, and Cardno, all in a little battle there. That is nothing for Matt Wright, though. Matt Wright's trying to chase down the 117 of Rob Smith. Blue flag, who's that blue flag for? That's for Harris, as we're on board with Hibbs and Ledger. So Cloudon's dropped off the back, that's 1.2 to Cloudon. So blue flag for Harris here. He's going to have to get out of the way. Ledger's decided to pit before he gets on the back of Harris, as does Cloudon. So interesting option there. We know the undercut seems pretty strong here. Harris going to move right out of Hibbs' way, it looks like. And yeah, Ledger and Cloudon not wanting any of that, but Harris was pretty well behaved and got straight out the way.
Yeah, that's good on them. Top three, still nothing in it, nothing changing really much there. Very close to each other at the corkscrew right now. Cardno and Williams, Williams all over the back of Cardno. Looks like Cloudon's having a longer pit stop. He might be on a different strategy here.
Yeah, let's take a look. What was Cloudon running from the last lap? Was down to 6 litres. Yeah, Cloudon going a half and half. Williams goes up the inside, gets the place from Cardno. Job done. And a good move from Williams, a flash to the lights, possibly in respect, and a weave as well, possibly in respect of the battle he's just had with Cardno. Cardno then down to 12th place now. They both passed Stardog as well in the pit lane, and they've both got past Cloudon in the pits. But Cloudon may have taken tyres there. So let's see what will happen for Jamal now. Jamal, the fourth fastest driver in terms of lap time set in this race at the moment. Fastest lap obviously with O'Reilly, with a 22.545, Ben with a 22.650, and Dan with a 22.692. So keep your eyes on Jamal now. He's got a fresh set of rubber on for the second half of the race. This could be an interesting watch for him. Where is he? He's just coming through turn 4. He's got Dan on the back of him, so Dan's lost a bit more time. Look, gap back up to 4.2. And he's on the gravel again there. Is Dan. Jamal straight out the way. He's not going to fight that one hard at all. Dan gives him a quick cheeky flash. Thank you very much, mate, and on we go. But Dan again, just dipping a wheel every time I see him on that gravel at the moment.
Yeah, and looks like O'Reilly's extended the gap just a little bit. It's up to 3.5 now. He's extended that gap by almost a second from last time I checked.
Absolutely flying Kieran O'Reilly. We're on the class in P8. He's got Ledger on the back of him. That is a car exiting the pit lane. That looks like it's Stardog. So he's had a lengthy stop there as Stardog in this one. He was the one who got hit, sorry, not Rob Smith. He was the one who got hit by Goudet when he had that spin. Goudet couldn't do anything about it. He's off now. That is possibly and hopefully to allow these leaders to come through. So that is Class, Ledger and Goudet all through. Goudet still to pit, Class still to pit. Ledger has pitted in this race. So let's see what happens here. Gap down to Mike is a pretty big one I'm seeing so far. Class a little wiggle, dips a wheel, so does Ledger over the curb. And that could have cost Ledger all the momentum. He has a look and pulls back in. If Ledger didn't go over the curb there, he could have been in the pound seat. Class just dropping a wheel over the curb again, flashing the lights. He's letting Ledger go. He's not fighting him too hard. Ledger's already pitted.
Yes. Looked like Ledger had the pace over him. Class doesn't make it that hard for him to pass. Now Goudet will be closing to the back of Class again.
Hibbs and Millington in for their stops. Ledger was ahead of Hibbs just before the round of pit stops, so let's see how good the undercut was. Remember, Cloudon was just off the back, but Cloudon's had a pretty lengthy pit stop here. Keep your eyes on Ramsell as well. Ramsell's in the pits as well. Did Ramsell have a mistake? So I didn't see Ramsell come in straight away. There, Ledger's got through, Class has got through. These three in for a long time, so this could really allow Williams to get ahead here. They're still not away. Here comes Williams and Cardno and Cloudon for good measure. And they're all away now, so Hibbs, Ramsell and Millington are all away now. Where's Cloudon though? They're going to come off the pit limiter. Who's off the limiter first? Ramsell's jumped Hibbs and Millington's jumped Hibbs as well. So interesting there. So Hibbs has lost out to Ramsell and Millington in the pit lane. Here comes Jamal Cloudon, a little far back, but keep your eyes on this. Coming onto the pit exit, very, very tight. Make sure not to outbrake yourselves and hit into the back of the other car. Here comes Cloudon swooping round turns 1 and 2. He's not going to be on the back of Hibbs just, But Hibbs is with Ramsell and Millington, so Hibbs has lost out there to Ramsell and Millington in the pit stops. Ledger well up the road, so have they also taken tyres in this race? Mike Matthews still to pit way off the back. In fact, he's near enough a whole sector off the back of the front three. So that shows the pace of the front three. O'Reilly's got the gap to 4 seconds to Ben. Dan's got it down to 3.6 to Ben. So keep our eyes on these gaps at the minute. Mike 22 seconds behind the leaders, but he's just looking for a good result in this category. We'll stick though back to Millington, Ramsell and Hibbs, and potentially soon enough Cloud and Fire. That's Dan Davis! He's around in the corkscrew! So he's had a moment on his own
mistake.
and he's been unlapped by Hibbs, Ramsell and Millington. I think Dan ought to get this in the pits, get out the traffic and get it in the pit lane. He's had another moment then. As Dan Davis, he's going to stay out on track. So Dan Davis here, another mistake. That puts the second and the win potentially out of reach for Dan. Hibbs going to be straight out the way. And Dan just can't get past him at the moment. And now he finally gets to the side of him, gets alongside, to the outside, gets past under braking. This could allow Clouden to come through on Hibbs to the outside. No, thinks better of it, tucks him behind. So Dan Davis, what has happened to him in this race?
It's a shame, really. I mean, just a few hundredths would have been the difference if he was on pole. And now he's just, like I said, just keeping the car on track is going to give you the chance at a win here. And unfortunately, he just hasn't been able to do it tonight.
Well, Dan's now got to come onto the back of Ramsell and Millington. This is coming up towards the corkscrew, dips a wheel onto the gravel again, does Dan. Clouden does as well. Hibbs trying to fend off from Clouden here. Hibbs obviously in that gold category. Millington's off. This could allow Hibbs an opportunity. It does. Could it give Clouden a run? It's one out the way for Dan. It is going to give Clouden a run up the inside of Millington into the corkscrew. Class comes into the pits. So Goudet stays out at the moment to take that place. And Dan's only got Ramsell left to lap in this one. And Clouden and Hibbs gain a place off of Millington's mistake through the kink.
Yeah, now Clouden is all over the back of Hibbs. Does he have a look into the last corner? No. Might set it up for the exit. We'll see if he can make a move into turn one.
Just noticed Matt Ryan got ahead of Rob Smith as well, Gray, sorry.
Yep, I saw that. It was down the hill while you were watching the other battle. We'll see if Clouden makes a move into turn one, thinks better of it, goes a bit wider.
Dan's pitted now. Very interesting. If I was Dan, I'd have pitted at the end of the last lap instead of having to negotiate through the traffic. But he's pitted now. In and out, he's done. Mike Matthews goes through on Dan Davis. The 444 of Class leaves the pits as well. So Dan will have a clear road in front of him. The next car will be Mike for positioning. Surely Mike's not going to fight him too hard. He knows Dan's not his race. He's obviously still got to pit in this one, but yeah, geez, Dan's not had a great second race. O'Reilly, by the way, and Ben have got traffic. O'Reilly's just negotiated Rob Smith. He's now got to negotiate Matt Wright. Kieran could decide to box here, you know, just to get it out of the way and get out of this traffic and find some clear road.
Yeah, for sure, but after he gets past Matt Wright, he's pretty much good, because Williams is already pitted, so we'll see how he cycles through. We see he's 12 seconds ahead of Cardno, so it was a good strategy call for him to come in right before that incident at the final corner, so that's worked out well for him. So he's looking for potentially, I mean, 7th, or at least 6th or 5th, I should say. Depends on what.
Yeah, Goudet's got a pit, so you'd imagine he'd get Goudet, because that's only 7 seconds. He's only 10 behind Ledger, so you never know. Top 5 could be an epic result. Hibbs still fending off Clouden, but he's also closing that gap to Ramsell here. So he's really trying to put the hurry-ups on Rob Ramsell. He's following you through, and he's not really defending from Jamal at the moment. And this is the beauty of Laguna Seca, is you don't really have to defend the corners, knowing that your opposition number has got to get that run alongside.
Yeah, for sure. Does Clouden make a look into turn 4? No, but he forces Hibbs to brake a bit late himself, and a little flash of the lights.
Yeah, that's a hurry up. Come on, guys, I'm quicker than you. I want to get past. I want to get on the back of the others in front. Well, Cardno's, I thought Cardno up the road from Rob. Only 7 seconds. He'd fancy Jamal, if he did take tyres as well, to get up the road to Cardno, who is technically a net 3rd in the gold category. Goudet still to pit. And on we go here. Where is Dan Davis? He's 9 seconds behind Mike. Hibbs and Clouden very, very close, coming into the penultimate corner. Rob's ran a little wide. This could open the door for Hibbs. Clouden's going to be looking on the inside into the final bend. Hibbs to the outside, Clouden on the inside. McLaren v McLaren. Rob stays in front, and somehow Hibbs on the outside powers out the corner ahead of Jamal.
I cannot believe that no position switch there. We'll see if Clouden now makes a move into turn one. He's later on the brakes, almost runs into the back of Hibbs, but just avoids the rear end of that McLaren, and Hibbs all over the back of Ramsel. And they're just all concertining up right now.
Hibbs had a look at Ramsel there into turn two. Millington's not a million miles away in this fight, and Harris a little further down the road, but Clouden certainly looking racy. Ramsel just made a little mistake that allowed the door to open up for Hibbs a little bit, and now Hibbs starting to defend a little bit more from Jamal Clouden at the moment. Cloud9 versus Greasy Bandits versus Quantum. Can the other Quantum car get on the back? Rob a little slow out the corner. Hibbs looks to the inside, pulls back in. That just distracts Jamal a little bit. They all go through the kink. Single file once again, but what a fight here. This is all for 9th, 10th and 11th and 12th on the road at the moment.
Yeah, they're providing the entertainment right now, that's for sure. And Millington, like you said, not too far behind himself, so could have a four-way fight here for what would be the net podium for gold category.
No, that's card. No, I do believe the Scuda's got to pits. This is net fourth in gold, effectively. Dan to Mike, still 8.8 seconds. So Dan hasn't really gained much on Mike Matthews. We'll get that in the pits. Like we said, it's 29 seconds for 1 litre in and out of the pit lane. So Dan should get that. The 444 of class has just gone across the corkscrew. Went off the white line of the circuit momentarily there. So he obviously messed up the corkscrew a little bit. He's chasing Harris down for a position. This is a great scrap though at the minute, and Clouden's dropped off the back of Hibbs, and Hibbs now free to attack Rob.
Yeah, I think Clouden's getting frustrated. He knows he has fresh rubber. They're on a similar tank of fuel now, but he knows he has fresh rubber. He knows he's faster, but with 2 cars fighting ahead, it's just near impossible without a mistake.
Yeah. Indeed it is. This is on board with Jamal Clouden. Up the hill into the kink. Look at how much he closes, minds that sausage curve on the inside. Now into the corkscrew. They're not close to each other. Millington's 1.5 behind. Jamal will want these extra few places on the brakes into the corkscrew. Nicely done. Rob a little deep though. That allows Hibbs to run. We're on board with Jamal. Hibbs going up the inside through the left-hander. Hibbs gets the job done. All seen on board Jamal Clouden. Hibbs gets past Ramsel. Now Clouden looks onto the back of Rob Ramsel. Can Rob get on the rear of Hibbs? Rob onto the dirt a little bit. Clouden to the outside. We saw it work for Hibbs a moment ago. Can Clouden power out the corner? Yes, he can. And he gets ahead of the Ferrari. Jamal finally gets ahead of one of them.
Yeah, a little flash of the lights from Ramsel. I mean, that was a great move around the outside for Clouden. Now let's see if he can get down the road and get up to Hibbs and finally get by him. Ramsel dropping down after what was looking like a great result. I mean, he's still on for a top 10, I think, with Goudet pitting.
Yeah.
But just losing those 2 positions and just the sequence of corners got to be frustrating a little bit.
Like Chris said, great racing in the chat. Jamal now will want to chase after Hibbs and will want to get past Hibbs. Ramsel will not want to let this go, and Millington 1.1 off the back of Rob. He's also going to want to try and get back onto the rear of this fight. Goudet yet to pit. He stays out for another lap. Gap out front 6.2 from O'Reilly, who's got a clear road because it's his teammate of Williams up the road from him. This corkscrew looks so much tighter when you were driving it compared to watching someone else driving it. Yeah, I thought that as well, even from the Ginetta's point of view the other night. Clouden then on the back of Hibbs still. Ramsel's just dropped off a little bit. Half a second is nothing. Mike 27 seconds behind Ben Rupp. What is the gap between Mike and Dan now though? Because it was 8 seconds. That looks a little more than 8 seconds to me, because it's not popped up. It's 8.8, so Dan's lost time to Mike.
That's surprising, actually. Maybe, hopefully Dan can regather his head and just get his head down. I mean, I think it's for sure P3 for him in this race, but I know he's just frustrated with himself, just little tiny mistakes, and he knows he can be up there fighting O'Reilly when he puts his best performance in, so I know it's frustrating to him, but he'll get back there, we know that.
you know, we're 100%. Cost 741, that is started off. He's at the corkscrew. Matt Wright's approaching the kink now, so possibly another place on the boards for Matt Wright in this race if he can get a move on. He's had Ben just put a lap on him. Cloudon's as close as he's been to Hibbs. Pulls out now with the kink tucked back in. All excited for nothing there. Jamal just showing the nose, distracts Hibbs a little bit. Hibbs gets a poor run, and Jamal Cloudon, through he goes. He showed the nose, distracted Hibbs, through goes Jamal.
I think that's just proof that it's hard to overtake, but it's easy to make a mistake around here.
And that was all Jamal, wasn't it? Just showing the nose. Hibbs just had a brief look in the mirror, missed that braking zone by a small amount, and off he went. Dan's pulled 4/10 back on Mike Matthews now then, so that's 8.4 seconds after the first sector. It's now 7.9, so he's gained even more time over Mike. The problem for Dan is he's got to make sure he doesn't keep these errors up. All right, 29 seconds the pit stop. He will jump Mike Matthews when Mike pits, but it's these errors that are currently costing Dan. And while he's got this clear track, he needs to put in good lap times before Ben and O'Reilly pits, because I don't think he's going to gain on them. But it's if he has a major moment, having one of these little offs, that Mike may capitalise.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see if Cloudon can use that fresh rubber, hopefully catch up to the back of Cardno. They provided an absolute beautiful scrap.
Oh, brilliant scrap. 5.2 Cloudon to Cardno. 4, what would be the oh no, it won't be the potential podium in gold because Cloudon platinum. But overall points, isn't it, at the end of the day? And yeah, that's what's on store. Cloudon's hit the curb, he's off. Where's Hibbs? Not close enough. Oh no, Cloudon's had a moment. Nope, managed to hold on to it. That does open the door for Hibbs though, so Cloudon, all the hard work done. And he's now staring at the back of Hibbs as Greasy Bandits Racing McLaren once again.
Oh man, I mean, that's just so mentally draining. You're behind a Ferrari and you're behind a McLaren for lap after lap after lap. You finally get the move done and then you just stiff it yourself. It's just so mentally taxing to have that happen. But hopefully he can get his head down here. I mean, he still has a chance for a decent result, so get his head down and he can get by him here.
I mean, I think he's going to get past John when John pits. Cardno's not off the table, nearly 7 seconds for Jamal, not off the table in 18 minutes left in this race. It's about a second, it's not even a second a lap at the moment. It's getting that way, but he's got to gain over Cardno. But again, he's now got to find a way past Hibbs, and it took several laps last time to get the move done on Hibbs.
Well, he did it. Well, he's done it once, so he knows he can do it again. So at least he has a bit of confidence that he's already done it.
Showed the nose there. Hibbs gets it tucked in. This is where he did it last time. Hibbs just a little wiggly on the curve. Jamal now getting closer to Hibbs, side by side into the kink. Hibbs is fighting this one hard, little wider. Jamal has to slow down though, so he didn't hit the sausage curb, and Hibbs stays in front. Ramsell right in play here as well at the moment.
Ooh, Rob, I thought he was having a look up the inside. Cannot make a dive there. Man, there would have been no room for that.
That was a tight moment there for sure from Rob Ramsell.
Oh, dive bombs at the corkscrew are, if your opponent doesn't back out, you're for sure making contact. So luckily he didn't dive it up the inside. That would have been a shunt for sure.
Dan's got the gap down to 6.9 to
Looked like Hibbs is wide at the final corner, and now Cloudon all over the back of him again. Hibbs defends the inside. Well, Cloudon look around the outside. He's got to be later on the brakes if he wants to make this move. They're about even.
Oh, so tight, so tight. Jamal nearly turns in on Hibbs there. And now has a wiggle on exit of turn 1. Williams on the back of Goudet. I don't think...
Oh, he's hit the back of him.
Say that again. Who's hit who?
Cloudon's hit the back of Hibbs, and now Ramsell's on the back of Hibbs, taking a look up the inside. Oh, so close, right to his rear bumper.
So Ramsell gets through and capitalises on a mistake from Jamal. He's now looking all over the back of Hibbs. Any damage to Hibbs' car, that could be catastrophic in this race. Williams on the back of John. I was going to say that John doesn't fight cars too hard, that he's not racing. Very clever driver in that sense. And I don't think he'll fight Williams too hard when Williams gets close enough. For Goudet, still not pitted, but Ramsell now can sniff an opportunity back at P9 from Hibbs again.
Yeah, wow, Ramsell's just picking up the pieces. Hibbs and Cloudon making mistakes, scrapping with each other, and Ramsell's just driving his own race, and he's gonna pick up a few pieces here. Just a couple laps off of saying it was disappointing he lost those 2 positions. Maybe he'll gain those 2 positions back.
What a race we're seeing here for 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th at the moment between Millington from Hibbs to Millington. Ramsell flashing the lights to Hibbs. Come on, buddy, because I am faster than you at this stage of the race. Williams lost a bit of time to John. Last lap, Dan's 5.5 off the back of Mike, and Ramsell now can smell blood on potentially a top 8, if not... a top 9, if not a top 8, when John Goudet does decide to pit. This is all, though, working in John's favour to stay ahead of this fight when he does pit.
Yeah, for sure. We also got another fight between Harris and Klaus into the penultimate corner. Harris right round the outside of Klaus. Harris having trouble to keep the car on track earlier, picking up the pace now, picking up the pieces.
Good move there from him, just checking on Williams and Goudet. Goudet coming round to the pit entry area. Is he going to dart into the pit lane and let Williams go? No, he's not. He's going to stay out on track. Be very surprised if John fights this hard. O'Reilly, though, has decided, right, I am coming in. Not getting involved in that little scrap here then. Ben, he stays out on the circuit, so he's going to take the net lead of this race. John has got Williams all over the back of him. Williams really closing under, braking nearly into the back of Goudet. Goudet holds his line and carries on his way, and back to the Hibbs, Clouden and Ramsell fight. Ramsell's all of a sudden a second ahead of Clouden, Clouden's a second ahead of Ramsell, and Clouden's close to the back of Hibbs once again. So what has happened there? They will unlap themselves from O'Reilly as well. Millington's dropped off the back of this fight. But what a race this is in the mid-pack.
My goodness, it seems like we look away from that fight for 2 seconds and then something happens.
So Clouden at the moment trying to get back ahead of Hibbs. Mike Matthews is coming to the pit lane. He's called for the pit stop. Dan was within 4 seconds, so clearly decided that now's the time to get away. Ignore that 19 seconds, Dan, to O'Reilly. That won't be retrospective until Dan gets through Sector 1. O'Reilly 22 seconds to Ben. Ben knows it's 29 seconds, or should know that it's 29 seconds for the pit stop. If he can pull a gap now, that would be ideal for Ben. Where is O'Reilly? Oh, he's in the Clouden and Hibbs fight, nearly in that Clouden and Hibbs fight. So this could be Ben's opportunity to just put some laps in here, some qualifying laps, and get that move done on O'Reilly. Because if O'Reilly catches Clouden and Hibbs at the wrong point, that could be game over, especially seeing as Clouden is crawling all over the back of Hibbs again.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, God forbid there be an incident again. Like they just had an incident where Clouden ran into the back of Hibbs. So, I mean, Clouden's obviously faster. He's just got to make the move clean and then keep it on track. That's it.
Dan,
easier said than done, obviously.
Yeah, easier said than done indeed. They're gaining on the back of Rob Smith, who is a lap down, so they've got to deal with a back marker. They've got the leader trying to bear down on them. 29 seconds, Ben to O'Reilly. That would be the gap. 29 seconds plus would be the gap Ben needs for the perfect pit stop ahead of Kieran O'Reilly. The problem is, Ben, clear air for the time being. O'Reilly is gaining on this squabble between Hibbs and Clouden, and then has Rob Smith in front of him. Did O'Reilly pit at the right time, or did he not? Because he was gaining on Williams and Goudet, but he's now gaining on 3 lap cars, 2 of them fighting for position.
I think I'm complete. Yeah, Ledger's gained a lot on Mike Matthews through that pit stop cycle. He's only 5.3 behind them, and that would be for the gold class win.
Yeah, we'll keep our eyes on that. That could be an interesting one. Still yet to see that gap. Clouden had a bit of a poor lap here. He's lost out to Hibbs quite a bit. Hibbs now going to try and lap that of Rob Smith. Not into the corkscrew. Sensible now,
oh,
Damien.
Man, Kieran's going to catch 4 lap cars now.
So Rob Smith brakes, stays that inside line. There goes Clouden. He lets O'Reilly go, as does Rob Smith. O'Reilly's in the slide. He's round. Kieran O'Reilly. He's in the wall. Championship leader.
Unbelievable.
Net race leader in the wall. He is stationary while cars are coming past him. Dan Davis is coming down now through the left-hand bend. He'll see O'Reilly just getting back up to speed. Dan is in the prime position here to possibly challenge O'Reilly. O'Reilly's tyres are going to be dirty. They're going to be hot. He's got a bit of damage on the front of that Honda. This puts it right in Ben Rook's hands.
Ben Rook looking to take his first race win of the season, a feature race win, correct?
Yeah, feature race. He's won a sprint race back at Monza, I do believe. This could be Ben Rook's time, and this would blow the championship wide open, not only for Ben, But for Dan and O'Reilly, if Dan gets past O'Reilly, it'll be more points taken away. Ben then here, really in the pound seat at the moment.
Unbelievable. I know O'Reilly said he's been having wheel issues this week, but
yeah,
I just, wow, I can't, what a privilege to come in the comms box, and what a race this has been. Just absolutely out of nowhere that happened.
The question now is what is that Honda doing? What is the damage to that Honda? Can Dan gain them 2.3 seconds? Not only for the team's championship, but also for his championship. Never mind his teammate. Dan wants the title as much as Ben. Dan will want to be ahead of Kieran O'Reilly. Ben has a solid lead. Where are the other two? They're coming down in towards the penultimate corner. They're a sector behind Ben at the moment. So Ben is charging right now. Their gap is on the timing screen saying, well, it's not saying anything at the moment. We'll wait for O'Reilly to cross the line. Hopefully it'll update for us there. But at the moment, Ben Rook is in the pole seat for this race win.
Yeah, he's a sector and a half ahead, so that's I'll try to see if I can calculate the gap real quick by the good old stopwatch, I should say. But he's far and clear and away now. I mean, probably by 10-15 seconds.
I'm just still waiting for that timing screen to update. It says 13 seconds up the road, but it was more than that. So,
no, he's way up the road.
That's not accurate at the moment. So Ben Rook, I'm assuming, is in the prime seat. Dan is gaining a tenth a sector on Kieran O'Reilly. A tenth a sector. This could go down to the wire for Dan Davis. 9 minutes left. He needs to go a bit more than a tenth a sector. That's three tenths a lap. Needs to go a little bit more than that. O'Reilly, though, has got the traffic once again. Stardog on the back of Class for P14 and 15. They're side by side now. Stardog around the outside of him. Job done. They've got John Goudet about to lap them. But Goudet still to pit in this race. Goudet, by the way, I think will lose out to Cardno, but could be fourth place in gold in this race. John Goudet has drove a great race in this one. Dan's lost out to 10th now to O'Reilly, as O'Reilly puts a lap on Steve Millington. Whoa, this is interesting now.
Yeah, the good old stopwatch says that Ben Rook is about 35 seconds ahead of O'Reilly, and O'Reilly with that damage, and he still has to deal with that traffic.
Yeah.
If he does start pulling up closer to them again. And yeah, Goudet, by staying out as long as he has, all the rest of the gold class has been scrapping with each other, so he's just been playing it smart, playing it safe, driving his own race, and he's going to reap the benefit from it.
Ledger to Mike stayed at 5 seconds. Cardno to John, can't really see at the minute. We know it's 4 tenths to Williams. Cardno to John is what? 29 seconds, the gap you need for a perfect pit stop. It's about 22 seconds, John to Cardno. So John's got to go a little bit more at the moment. But Clouden... sorry, we've missed something. Clouden passed Hibbs and has dropped him by 2.7 seconds. So don't know where all that has happened. Ben is now in the pits. Where's O'Reilly? Corkscrew. Ben is not stationary at this moment in time. 34 seconds is what it is saying. That is obviously going to come down quick with Ben in the box. Keep your eye on Ben going green. That is the most important thing at the moment. Goes green now. Keep your eye on that P being removed next to Ben's name. That will then give us the telltale sign. O'Reilly's coming into the final corner now. Perfect pit stop, says Chris. Ben's off the limiter. O'Reilly's only just exited the final corner. O'Reilly has gapped Dan a little, but Ben Rook has got 2 back markers between himself and Kieran O'Reilly. So Ben Rook in that prime seat. We're going to get a same podium as race 1. It's going to be turned on its head, and Ben Rook could be a feature race winner. Never won a race until this season at SimPlay. He got a sprint win off his back at Monza. Now, the student is almost becoming the master, if you will. Kelly Davis, wherever you are on holiday, if you are listening, Ben may need a skittle pay rise, as he could be taking a feature race win. And this championship now between not just Ben and Dan, but Ben, Dan and O'Reilly is getting exciting. John into the pits. Let's see where John comes out. This could be close with him and Cardno.
Yeah, let's see where he comes out. I mean, what an absolute crazy race this has been so far. I mean, we still have battles to go through. We still got Rob and Steve. No, that's Rob going past the lap car. My bad. But it's just been absolutely insane. Nobody expected
Dan's
that.
off! Sorry, Gray, Dan's off for the corkscrew! He's had a yellow flag, so that will put to bed Dan getting second place. Dan goes off at the corkscrew once again. Mike is nowhere near him. Goudet comes out, by the way. Is that Cordno got ahead of Goudet, and Jamal's just passed Goudet. So Jamal up to 8th, John down to 9th. And John's going to be about 4, 5, 6 seconds behind Cordno at the minute. But Dan's battle for second, done. That has put to bed. He's 8 seconds behind O'Reilly now.
Yeah, oh man, Dan's going to be kicking himself after today. He knows that if he just would have, like you said earlier, let the race come to him, it would have happened. I mean, he would have just had to race his teammate for the win. And
yeah.
We've seen them fight earlier this season. I mean, absolutely cracking battle at Paul Ricard, that was. And he's definitely going to be kicking himself knowing he could have had a chance at a feature race win.
Just one too many mistakes in this second race. That's all it's been for Dan, hasn't it?
Yeah, and like I said, that was going to be the difference. Who can keep the car on track? Who can not dip the wheel in the dirt? Who can keep their rear end in check? And so far, there's still 4.5 minutes left. Anything can happen, but Ben Rook has been the one to do that so far tonight. He's
been the one that hasn't made the mistakes. O'Reilly's made mistakes. Dan's made mistakes. The problem is Ben's got a bit of traffic. That is John Goudet just ahead of him, who's just pitted. Everybody's done their stops. Ben's not close enough to John yet. Remember, the rule is 3 blue flags, 3 corners with blue flags. I don't think Ben is close enough for John to yield that time at the moment. That's what I'm going with right now. I don't think Ben's just close enough. John lets him go. John's let him go early. Yeah, John's given that one up. He's not fighting Ben. He's not getting involved in that. Well played, John, because the last thing you want to do is be in a position where you end somebody's race or potentially end a race win for them by being a lap down.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see if Hibbs can close onto the back. 2 Greasy Bandits cars, P9, P10 right now, but we'll see if Glove's off there.
Just putting the post out for driver of the day, but Ben Rook doing what he needs to do in this race so far. Dan losing even more time. Ledge has gained on Mike a little bit. That's 4.4, but 3 minutes left. Going to be hard to come by, like you said. Hibbs gaining on Goudet here. 1.6 the gap at the moment. What a drive! What a drive from Ben.
Yeah, I mean, he was looking at the race 1 winner. No, he was picked under Dan for race 1 winner. He was picked under Dan, or he's picked the same as Dan this one. Everyone was saying either Dan or O'Reilly. I mean, he's kept it clean.
Yeah.
He's not put a foot wrong. Really, even race 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, whole night. I mean, he pushed O'Reilly to the pole position. When his teammate made a mistake in race 2, he picked that up, and then the race leader made a mistake, he picked that up. So, like I said at the beginning, if you keep it clean, you're going to have a good chance, and Ben Rook has done that brilliantly tonight.
Driver of the day poll has gone up. Ben Rook, Dan Davis, Kieran O'Reilly, and I've gone with Damien Hibbs. An 8th and a 10th at the moment, but I think he's had a cracking night's worth of racing. This Hibbs been involved in a lot of action here. I would have gone Goudet, but Hibbs just had the better race 1 for me over John with a 10th. John's 13th. Class on the back of Harris here. Tough scrap, because if these two have a couple of moments, Matt Wright's only 9 seconds down the road, so these two need to make sure they're clean on these last. What we're going to get, we're possibly going to get 2 more racing laps after this one. Ben's coming to the line now. It's 1:20. They're lapping in the 23s at the moment. This could be 2 laps to the end, you know. Ben's not going to want to yield up on this next lap to get that time to tick down. He's not going to risk O'Reilly getting close to him. 1:27 as he crosses the line. I think we've got 2 laps of racing left.
We definitely do have 2 laps of racing left. I don't think he'll lift off at all. That'd be way too risky. Gap's only 6 seconds. You have to let up 4 seconds.
Ben Rook has hated this track all week. Chris has had to tell him off for so much shouting and losing his temper. And now look.
Well,
it pays off.
I will say, I mean, the best way to learn a track is to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And mistakes, we all know as racing drivers, being they're the most frustrating thing in the world. Knowing that you can drive better, it's absolutely hair pulling. You want to pull your hair out. You want to bang your head against the table. But if you just see through the process, this is the result, and that's what happened with Ben Rook. It sounds like he's kept his head in it, and I mean, keep it on track, please. Commentator's curse. I really don't want that to be a thing for me, but
well, it is a real thing. Me and Kelly say this every week. It is a real thing. So let's grab some wood, touch wood somewhere, that Ben can bring it home. We're watching the fight Harrison class at the moment. That's 9/10 of a second as they come to the line. Ben Rook then 14 seconds, 12 as he exits the final corner. Is this it? Is there one more? I'm sure he's going to just push for that final lap, because he's not slowing down. 1 to go. Ben leads onto the final lap. He's got 5.3 to Kieran O'Reilly. O'Reilly's got to clear Hibbs and Goudet. Harris and Clace, by the way, we're going to get this and another lap. That's only 0.8 of a second. Matt Wright is only 6 seconds behind, so a drama for these two. Matt Wright could be right in there. He's going to push to the end. Couple more points for him. But what a race tonight has been. 17 cars, you look at the grid, you think little low, numbers on the lower side. Might not be a lot of action in the 70-minute race. How wrong was we?
Wow, I mean, just wow. I mean, Suzuka wasn't the most thrilling last week.
444, that's Clace, sorry Langley. Clace is off after the kink. That will give Mike Wright P15. So Harris has got to bring it home. Sorry, what was she saying?
Maybe not the most entertaining last week at Suzuka, but spooky Laguna delivers again, huh?
It does indeed. 2 corners to go for Ben Rook in this race. 1 corner to go for Ben Rook. Don't flash the lights early, Ben. He's already giving them a flash. Don't go too early. Dan did that once and lost a 3rd place because of it. But he rounds the final corner. Ben Rook is going to become a feature race winner, and he's going to take the championship fight to O'Reilly and Dan. Ben Rook wins at Laguna Seca. John Gooday, a good weave and a flash of the lights. Great race 2 for him. O'Reilly 2nd place. It's going to be P3 on the road from Dan. Too many mistakes from him tonight has cost him in this 2nd race. What a drive, though, from him to still get that podium. Good stuff there from Dan Davis in the end. P4. So at the minute, just hold your horses for a second because he's not finished just yet. But a solid result yet again for Mike Matthews on a track he loves before he has to go to Egypt. This could be another solid result for Mike Matthews. A gold win as well in this championship that is going down to the very end in the gold standings. Mike Matthews is going to come home for that P4 in this one. Patrick Ledger will be P5 over the line for him. P6 for Williams. Not quite there yet. He's already given it a flash of the lights as well. He's got Matt Wright just behind him, I do believe. No, Harris is off! Harris is off! Matt Wright's going to pass him at the end, is he? No, he's not quite yet. We won't see Williams across the line. Harris has got to negotiate this final corner. This is for Matt Wright to get through, and potentially he's not going to do it, but it's going to be P14 on the road for Harris. What a shame for Matt at the very end. He nearly pipped it. He nearly took it. It is going to be P7 for Cardno and P8 for Jamal Clouden. What a 2nd race that was.
I will say, silent shout out to Ledger. We thought Mike was running away with the gold. He slowly crawled back, only finishing 2.7 behind him. So kudos to him. He brought the fight to Mike on closing toward the end there.
Didn't he, indeed. So it was a 14th for Harris, a 6th for Williams, a 7th for Cardno. We wait the drivers now to come in for the interviews. Hopefully they'll come in thick and fast. My days, what a race. Absolutely fantastic. Right. Langley, I'm going to go through and just sort the drop scores out now. Obviously, all results are provisional before the ticket system goes in. Give us your final thoughts and your driver of the day.
Man, you showed it, or we saw it from race 1. It was absolute chaos. People, drivers making mistakes and people taking advantage. The absolute, we saw some great racing tonight as well. Side by side, I have to say, Ben Rook has to be the driver of the day. Yes, he's the race winner. It almost sounds boring to pick the race winner, but first feature win of the season, of his career at SimPlay.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be Ben Rook. Everyone picks Dan and Kieran O'Reilly over him a lot of the times, but he did put a foot wrong tonight, and yeah, it has to be him for me.
I'm going to give an honour. I'm with you on that. Has to be Ben Rook. I'm going to give an honourable mention. John Gooday, great performance tonight. Mike Matthews, great performance. Cardno, good showing as well. Rob Ramsell, race one, good showing from him. Hibbs, massive shout out to Hibbs. Thought he had a stellar race. I've done the drop scores while you were saying that. These results are all provisional. Let's not forget. Tickets will go in. You have until midnight tomorrow night or 11 p.m. tomorrow night, whatever, for tickets to go in. That is the cut-off. You can't submit a ticket after that. The stewards will then go through them and will close the tickets accordingly. The championship standing 73 points between the top three. O'Reilly from Dan from Ben. Ben is now tied with Dan. That fastest lap for Dan in race one was crucial. Brandon Williams still P4, 158 points behind, slowly drifting out of that. It's not been the last couple of weeks for Williams. Overtakers P5 from McGowan to Bont, Clouden. Mike climbs up to ninth. Ledger jumps in front of Matt Wright by a point. So Ledger moves into P2 in gold. Matt Wright down to third. Hibbs is fourth. He's out. He's 40 points behind Matt Wright. An outside shot at possibly getting in this gold championship. Remember, the final round for drop scores is next week. So Donington and Valencia, no drop scores will be counted. Hibbs, though, cannot win the championship from here. Neither can Harris 13th, Goudet 14th, Tardock, Cardno, Ramsell, Stardog, Smith, Class, Millington, Skunky, Cairns, Hoffer, Rosowski, Hay, O'Sullivan. In terms of the constructors, it is Blewett bigger. 205 points Audio Sport over Dapper Racing. Cloud9 P3. They're 397 behind. If Overtake would have been here tonight, that would have been interesting to see what Cloud9 would have done in that side of things. SimPlay Racing are 570 behind. MSA are then 5th. Greasy Bandits on the back of them. AS Racing P7. They cannot now win it. Then it's Team GBR, Utopia Motorsport, Team RRM, Quantum, Roadrunner Motors, Full Strength Fjord Lords, Effect Motorsport P14. I believe we have the top three in for a chat, and I'm going to go straight down the middle. I'm going to start Kieran O'Reilly, 2 second place, a third and a second tonight. Kieran, just talk us through that a little bit. The Honda just had strange moments.
Yeah, I mean, it was more so down to the driver tonight. Struggled to sort of get my head together for tonight. Really feeling it, a bit tired, been a bit busy, so yeah, it was going to be a tough one anyway. And obviously race one, it was just a silly, it wasn't really a mistake really, it was just the back end got onto the curb and it spat me round, so that was that. Managed to pull it back to third. And then race two, just obviously tried to put it on pole again and get that track position, which we did, and was cruising a bit too much really. Just lost composure. Just when you're driving round on your own, it's very easy to just like get in your own head. So yeah, it's just down to the driver tonight. Just wasn't really up to it, but obviously managed to still pull in some decent results, so still a win-win.
I have to apologise, it's 74 points. I forgot to give Kieran his fastest lap for the second race. Talk us through the traffic in that second race. You seem to have a moment lapping a car that was off on the inside. Jamal pulled to the outside to let you through. Did the traffic kind of just distract you a little bit as well, or just your own error?
I mean, it was the traffic, because it was a bit awkward really. I mean, Clouden obviously went right, and then there was a car on the inside, so sort of threw me off a little bit. But like I say, there's no excuses. I sort of pitted a bit earlier to try and fight back through the pack and have some battles. So it is what it is. It's racing, just move on, and this stuff sort of happens.
74 points in it between the three of you as well. 3 weeks left. Snetterton, Valencia, Donington Park, British soil for all those British drivers next week. What can we do at Snetterton?
Oh, I hope we can do well. I hope we can maybe keep a bit more concentration tonight. I think we'll need it round Snetterton a bit more. If you go off there, it's either grass or you're just going to be sliding for days. So yeah, we're going to have to focus now for the last end of the season. Try and obviously take the championship home, and it's sort of in me now. Obviously cruising in the GT4s with the constructors, and obviously would have liked to have had the constructors for this one, but I had a few hiccups with teammates and whatnot, so there wasn't really a chance of that. But yeah, obviously just full focus now to Snet and try and keep my head down.
Okay, and congratulations. P2, P3, a pole and a fastest lap. Well done tonight. We'll see you at Snetterton. I think we're going to next speak to Dan Davis because, first of all, congratulations on the race 1 win. But talk us through that second race. Just seemed to be one too many mistakes from your side.
Yeah, it's Laguna for me. Seems to have the pace, seems to be quite quick in, and just silly errors from myself again. Like O'Reilly said, it's just you can get a nice setup around here, and you know what you need to do, but it's always just that concentration that goes out your window. And for the first half of the race, me, Ben, and O'Reilly were lap for lap just matching one another. Yeah. One of us do a 22, all three of us do a 22, 23, and then bang, bang, bang. It was just consistent. And then I think I got in my own head just like O'Reilly did, but obviously it's a big gap to hunt down, but push too hard. Yeah,
it looked that way from the commentary box. Is that how Ben got through? I take it a little mistake to get past. Yeah, because we didn't see that one on the thing. Apart from that, talk us through your race 1, because race 1 was pretty good.
Yeah, race 1 was bang on. I knew Ben couldn't help himself to have a little fight with Clouden, and I didn't kind of tell him what I was going to do. So I knew that he saw the opportunity to have a fight with Clouden, and he literally said, as I went in pit lane, I should have pitted. So he kind of already knew that I had him outduked there. But I mean, race 1 was awesome. The fact that we got a 1-2 for Team Audio Sport as well, which is epic. Absolutely love that. I was just comfortable. I had no stress, knew what I needed to do, no pressure, no nothing. I'm still amazed how amazing O'Reilly manages to turn a bad situation into a good one. It just baffles my mind. But we can only do what we can. It's small little bit steps here and there, but nonetheless, a 1-2 for me and Ben, and a solid job from the sister team as well. Patrick and Tom were absolutely phenomenal. The Lamborghini really did us a favour tonight, and it really did show off really well tonight.
And just to point out for the viewers, me and Gray were saying it on stream there, that gloves are off between you and Ben. This is not a case of, one of you is taking home to O'Reilly. You are both fighting him equally, both fighting O'Reilly and each other equally as hard as you would anybody else.
Of course, and I think that's what's the best thing about rivalries. If even in your team, you're helping one another, but you're not. Me and Ben ran very different setups tonight. We both ran slightly different strategies. We still want to outdo one another. We want that number 1 status, from the team. So, and I mean, if Ben manages to topple me by the end of the season, then a fair job and well respected. I mean, the boy's got 2 wins this season, his first 2 wins, and I'm on the back foot because of it. So he's doing a solid job, and that's why Team Audio Sport's leading the constructors. So, yeah.
We go to British soil. We know you hate British circuits, but seem to always go well there. You've kind of got to be having one eye on these circuits to maybe think, okay, I've done well in the past at these 2 British tracks. Yes, you need O'Reilly to slip up a little bit, but you've got 2 tracks going into it that you've got good form at.
Yeah, look, we're going to Snet, and the last time I ran the Lamborghini, I got a Grand Slam. I took fastest lap, both pole positions, and both race wins. So I know this car is spectacular around there, and I know I can be quick around there in this car. So Snet and Donington are the 2 circuits I've been really looking to try and hunt down. This is the last drop score as well. So if we can get through it and O'Reilly still has a decent round and then has a bad round come Valencia and Donington, then we're in the pound seat because the drop scores are gone at that point. So it's just keep applying that pressure. And with Donington and Snetterton around the corner, again, I like Donington. Snet is not up there with my favourites either, but British circuits and myself just seem to go with one another. But we just keep applying on the pressure, keep making him sweat until eventually he cracks, even though the guy very rarely makes mistakes. So, and obviously tiredness today kicked in for him. So there's the chink in his armour, but at the minute I can't find anything to slow him down. But a solid job to O'Reilly once again, and Ben, top job as well.
Well, Dan, congratulations tonight on the race win and the P3, as well as fastest lap in race 1.
Go on. And Kelly can stay on holiday more often.
That's already been said by Rob Smith in the chat.
Yeah, I've already seen. He can stay on holiday more often. He can't commentate on me and Ben now.
Well, congratulations tonight. We'll see you at in the comms box Tuesday evening, and then obviously on track next time out.
Yep. Cheers, boys. Guys, hit that like button.
And Chris has given us permission to talk to Ben. in the interview. He's going to love it, apparently. There is no bedtime for him tonight, no school. He can stay up as late as he wants. So, Ben Rook, finally, I remember you said to me and Dan on the Discord saying that the sprint win's not a real win. Well, you can't say that anymore, can you?
Absolutely not.
I think there's a discussion to be had with Kelly about a few more Skittles now. Look, great race win. You was the one driving.
Whoa. I'm manager here, not Kelly.
Speak with Kelly.
No.
You was the one who didn't put a foot wrong in that second race, and really, that's what won you this race, wasn't it, Ben? You was the one who didn't make a mistake.
Yeah, it was surprising, actually, because all throughout this week I was struggling, complaining about the car, and then it comes to race day and I'm on it all hour, or 2 hours or so, whichever.
It was, your dad said in the chat that, you know, he's had to tell you off. You've been shouting and screaming and losing your temper, and that shows how hard practice has been this week. On the night, all the mistakes, like Langley said, all the mistakes was made in the testing, and you've got rid of them for the night.
Yeah, definitely. It was, again, a big shock, but put my head down and just got on with it, and it worked out perfectly.
We go to Snetterton, a track you're going to know very well. Obviously, being a touring car fan, you're going to know Snetterton very well. Dan's good there. Honda looks like it could be a good car there, looking at the BOP at the moment. What can you do around Snetterton?
Absolutely no clue. I think I've only raced it once,
Okay.
and I don't think I did very well, if I can remember.
Well,
So, no clue.
going forward into Valencia and Donington, obviously tracks you've done a little bit more of.
Valencia, I hope I can do very well there. Obviously, I got my first podium here in my first season in the McLaren. Donington, I remember doing quite well recently, so I hope I can do well in those two tracks as well.
Well done tonight, Ben. Congratulations. First ever feature race win at SimPlay Motorsport. Well done, Ben. We'll see you next week at Snetterton.
Thank you very much.
And that is all we have time for. Big shout out to our patrons that you can see on screen at the moment. If you'd like to become a member of the Patreon, link is in our Discord. We'll get it sorted for the description as well for next season. So a big thank you to our current Patreons. If your name is not on that list and you have signed up to Patreon, please DM myself, Dan Davis, or Mike Matthews, and we'll get that sorted as well. But we head to Snetterton, back on British soil for the Hugh Darren Cup Pro-Am and Pro. Dan Davis and Alexa Marshall will be with you Tuesday. Dan with you on Wednesday. Can Langley take a bit more of a grasp on that championship? O'Reilly can win it on Tuesday night. Just to put that out there. O'Reilly can wrap up the Hugh Darren Cup on Tuesday night. So championship could be decided there, the first one of the season. And then myself and Kelly will be back in the box on Thursday night for the Snetterton race. Unless Dan pays him to go on holiday again, I assume Dan's going to look at some campsites for Kelly to take the camper van on holiday.
I'm currently looking at how much tickets are to go and watch the touring cars at Donny. So
there we go. So Dan's doing that. Let's see what happens for Kelly Davis. But yeah, been a pleasure. Great to have you in the commentary box tonight. Thank you for joining me.
I appreciate it. I had a blast tonight. It was an absolutely brilliant race 1 and race 2, and even quali, only 600s in it.
O'Reilly can wrap up the championship on Tuesday. Vitas and Langley go wheel to wheel again on Wednesday. And can O'Reilly just try and grasp one hand on Thursday? Can Ben and Dan hunt him down? All gloves off at Audio Sport. Only one place to find out. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you want to, and hit the bell to be notified. As well as in the description, check out our fantastic sponsors, Design Manchester and Audio Sport. Links are in the description to their websites and Facebook pages. Well, what a race, what a Laguna Seca. Spooky Laguna, as we like to call it here at SimPlay, has provided drama, frantic racing, great overtaking, and more importantly, epic battles throughout the night. Ben and Dan, your race winners. O'Reilly still leads the way by 74 points.